Chapter 1052. We purchased this is power. The power that the Empire hopes for and desires to change the era. Unlike the forbidden curse of nuclear explosion, it is a revolutionary force that can truly spread to the common people and completely change the world's balance of power. Monsters with the bloodline of the divine era, your time should have ended long ago. Morris's eyes were filled with madness, incredible excitement, and a 180-degree change from his usual humble gentlemanly appearance. Originally forced into battle, he now desires the fight more than anyone else, to show his own power. Ada completely transformed him. From the moment he stared into the abyss, the Morris who followed the Knight's Code had already died. The one here now is Morris, the Knight of the Abyss. Charge! Saramanda was also excited, finally encountering an opponent with whom they could give their all. Even their massive axe felt light. The body heated up, the heartbeat accelerated, as if hearing a voice that wasn't far away, it seemed to be calling out to them. Incredibly powerful and holy, dragon roar. Hiss. Lava-like patterns appeared on Saramanda's skin, and her breath burned like flames. With a length of over 2 meters, the huge axe swung by her was so swift that no air could pass through. It sent all the heavy steam spears flying away. Under Morris's control, these heavy steam spears seemed to have a life of their own, spinning and attacking Saramanda again. Go away. Saramanda transformed into a red blade whirlwind, sparks of lava exploding on the axe blade, cutting down each incoming heavy steam spear. The connection between the steam spear and Morris was broken, causing him to frown. The standard equipment issued by the military for the third-generation magic armor now seemed inadequate for his strength. These heavy steam spears were top-tier weapons for attacking cities, but they hadn't considered the issue of facing a god weapon. Their material couldn't even fully unleash the power of the third-generation magic armor's core. He needed stronger and faster equipment. After this battle is over, he needs to immediately apply to the Army's logistics department to upgrade his weapon accessories. Currently, he is eligible to equip his Red Tiger armor with extra equipment called a titled machine. A knight with the rank of hero should use a hero-ranked weapon. Attack with all spears. Morris pulled out all the steam spears behind him and shot over 20 of them in one breath. Currently, he can control around 6 steam spears at once. In this wave of full spear attacks, about half of the steam spears are disposable. Since he has decided to change his equipment, he will use up all these consumables and unleash their final power on this battlefield. The successive heavy steam spears looked like dozens of sharp blades piercing through the sky, completely trapping Saramanda. Then, Morris pulled out his main weapon, the gigantic chainsaw sword. This 4-meter-long chainsaw sword is specially designed to penetrate armor and has enormous killing power even against a hero-ranked knight. Depending on their proficiency with different weapons, knights are given different main weapons for the third-generation magic armor by the army. Besides the standard long-range disposable steam spears, they can freely choose their own weapons. Morris specializes in the Empire's authentic military swordsmanship, known for its practicality and lack of elegance on the battlefield. The enormous chainsaw sword has a fast-moving cutting chain that forms the blade, while the body of the sword is a loud gear structure. This is a masterpiece of advanced technology and must be powered by the core of the third-generation magic armor, a weapon created through alchemy. Even the fully armored cavalry in the Divine Era is as fragile as cream in front of this chainsaw sword. Even a typical hero-ranked warrior cannot face this terrifying cutting force directly with their flesh and blood. The chainsaw sword, the spinning piledriver, and the rotating giant drill are the 3 standard equipments loved by the Knights of the Empire. Among them, the chainsaw sword has the highest requirements for proficiency, and only the most elite Knights of the Empire can wield it well. All other obscure weapons are wicked. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of steel footsteps shakes the earth. It is the roaring sound of a 50-ton steel-armored, Red Tiger armor charging forward at full speed, revealing the true strength of a giant after being freed from the restraints. This is a scene that has never appeared even in the Divine Era war, like a giant from the past wearing metal armor, galloping on the battlefield. Here it comes. Saramanda raised her giant axe high, bathed in a red light, countless sparks dancing from her hair. Saramanda. Shouting her true name, the young troll girl also charged forward, completely ignoring the heavy steam spears continuously shooting towards her. Most of the one-time steam spears just got squeezed away by Saramander's muscles after penetrating a few centimeters. Only a few steam spears directly controlled by Morris truly tore through her defense, and one even pierced her chest. If it were a human, this would definitely be a fatally fatal injury. However, Saramander didn't even look at the wound on her body, she just kept charging forward. One side is the steel giant of the new era. The other side is the descendant of the Divine Era's giants. Both sides have inherited the power of the long-extinct giant race in different ways. This is a battle beyond the scope of humanity, a decisive battle between monsters. Ada Morris's eyes turned red, like when shouting the name of a loved one, he swung his most powerful strike. Saramander unleashed her true name, a name she really liked, a name fit for a ruler. Two terrifying forces collided, and the sound of the explosion could be heard for miles. The burning giant axe wildly struck the relentlessly rotating chainsaw sword, forcefully stopping its movement, then fiercely counterattacked. With a clang sound, the 4-meter-long chainsaw sword snapped in half. Morris, shocked and alarmed, threw a powerful punch that hit Saramander. With a snapped sound, Saramander's figure soared high like a kite, being sent flying hundreds of meters into the sky and then crashing down, creating a large crater on the ground. With a hiss sound, a massive steam jet burst forth. The 7-meter-tall red magic armor dropped to its knees on the ground, with a huge axe lodged in its cockpit. Darn it! Morris came out from behind the magic armor with a sad face, angrily looking at the chainsaw sword that had turned into junk. Then he covered his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood foam. There were no winners, both were hurt. Chapter 1053 We purchased Big Sister. Are you having fun? That big guy is not moving. No wonder Saramander is amazing. I want to follow Big Sister for the rest of my life. Young troll girls chattered and surrounded Saramander, effortlessly pulling out the heavy steam spear that was almost about to penetrate her body. The scene of blood and flesh flying made several noble ladies from the imperial family vomit. It was too explicit. Ah, that was satisfying. I had so much fun. Saramander moved her body, revealing the terrifying traits of her troll bloodline once again. Her wounds, torn open to the point where one could see her intestines, were healing at a visible speed. Instead, it was Morris who sent Saramander flying. Now his face turned pale and he covered his mouth with white gloves that had turned blood red. Watching Saramander get up as if nothing happened, he gritted his teeth and kicked the completely ruined chainsaw sword with all his might. It truly wasn't his fault, it was simply the huge difference in weapon quality. During the most intense battle, this alchemical weapon was completely destroyed by the giant axe. The standard weapons of the Empire were completely defeated by handmade products from who knows when, which was simply unbelievable. The cockpit was also breached, making it impossible for him to continue fighting. He needed better weapons, better equipment. Using these terrible standard Empire gears would only bring him shame. Well done, human. Next time then. Saramander pulled out the giant axe lodged in the cockpit. This axe was her favorite weapon, not only because it was heavy and fitting for her size and fighting style. If it wasn't for this, she wouldn't have given up her favorite big stick and exchanged it for this weapon. For her, this nearly indestructible heavy axe might be even better than the god weapon. At least she wasn't used to those small and delicate weapons. A troll always needs to use a super heavy weapon. Even the mighty steel armor couldn't withstand her big axe. Thank goodness. I didn't lose anything by giving away this weapon. The merchant who traded with the troll clan wiped the sweat off his forehead as he looked at Saramander's majestic appearance. This huge axe is one of the treasures of the Merchant Guild. It's a true Divine Era weapon. I have no idea which eccentric craftsman made it. It doesn't look like a weapon made for humans at all. It takes at least 5 strong men just to lift this weapon. The material itself is truly of god weapon level quality. The exact forging method is unknown. Since it's impossible for humans to use such a weapon due to their size, it has been kept as a collectible in the treasury for a long time. When negotiating with the Ogre clan in the past, their demand was for the best, heaviest, and most powerful weapon. The business association took out all of their hidden equipment, including a real god weapon, which was a thin sword called Thorn of Roses. The ogres didn't even glance at it, everyone preferred the super-heavy giant axe. Weighing close to half a ton, this weapon is probably only considered a regular weapon by the ogre race on this continent. Was this super-heavy axe made specifically for these monsters? Monsters will always be monsters. That weapon is just too unfair. It can even cut through a magic armor's chainsaw sword. Where did they get such an extraordinary weapon? No worries, our empire can also manufacture something like this. Captain Morris just needs to replace his equipment and he'll definitely crush the opponent. The soldiers from the Empire's envoy were not disheartened. Morris's advancement was a great joy for the entire Empire's army. Morris, who had entered this field, was a knight ranked as a hero and a substitute driver for the titled machine. It was only a matter of time for him to switch from the third-generation magic armor to the titled machine. Even without a titled machine to ride at the moment, as long as Morris completely replaces the equipment on this tiger armor and assembles the spare equipment from the titled machine, his combat power would instantly increase by several levels. This is the revolutionary aspect of the magic armor. Unlike the regular magic armor that humans are familiar with, the weapons of the magic armor can be freely changed. By changing to the most suitable equipment when facing different opponents, one can gain a strategic advantage. Human weapons cannot compare to the magic armor with its steel body due to the limitations of the human body. Morris suffered because of the quality of his weapon. If the chainsaw sword just now could withstand the heavy axe's strike, Morris would definitely have one. The soldiers of the Imperial Envoy Corps unanimously believed this. The conflict between the Trade Union Alliance and the national team ended in a temporary tie. Saramanda, who was greatly satisfied, didn't bother the Empire anymore, while Morris, who suffered from his equipment, was quickly reassigned to the Empire's military headquarters for the upgrade of his third-generation magic armor. At this time, nobody noticed that Morris at that moment and the Red Knight who had emerged in the border war were no longer the same person. Several days later, the recruitment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order finally began. Girls from all over the continent, even from overseas and different races, gathered in front of the ancient Divine Era Tower in the center of the royal city. They looked at the two figures slowly walking out of the tower with curiosity and anticipation in their eyes. Not only them, but all the teams that came to participate in the recruitment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, whether from the Kingdom, the Empire, or the Trade Union Alliance, held their breath and watched the 14-year-old girl. Not long ago, this young girl was just a mascot in people's eyes, an underage princess. She once lost everything, the entire kingdom was on the verge of collapse, with only her and her sister hiding in an ancient tower, awaiting the fate's judgment. Their fate was probably to live the rest of their lives like caged canaries, never to see the freedom of sunlight again. After the downfall of the Royal Knight Order, everyone believed this. Until a ray of silver light tore through the sky, revealing the power of the Divine Era's forbidden spell, illuminating the whole night. After that night, this underage girl gained another title, one that surpassed even the glorious Divine Era, a title that would undoubtedly shock people's hearts. Her Majesty, the Queen of Nuclear Blast, the only warlock in the Divine Era to possess the power of the ultimate forbidden spell, from ancient times to the present. With her command, the entire continent trembled. The Kingdom, Empire, and Trade Alliance all presented their utmost sincerity, offering the most outstanding young girls they could find. Whether it's called domineering or willful, this underage queen is now the strongest ruler on the continent. Chapter 1054 we purchased today. Ain is wearing a beautiful ancient dress that has been passed down from the Divine Era. Her dress is platinum in color and perfectly complements her flawless face. She looks like a princess from a fairy tale. However, no one sees her as a princess anymore. Standing in front of the Divine Era Tower, Ain is actually quite short, only about 4 feet tall. But people gathered here can't help but feel her immense presence towering above them, as if they can only look up to her. She is the most powerful queen on the continent, the queen who possesses the power of nuclear explosions. This is Queen Ain, the strongest queen in the history of the kingdom. The user of the forbidden spells from the Divine Era. The daughters of both the Empire and the Kingdom hold their breaths and tremble uncontrollably. This is because most of them can trace their lineage back to the royal family of the kingdom through the ancient Divine Era bloodline. To them, the Divine Era bloodline is truly the origin and foundation of their existence. If any of them awaken the power of the Divine Era bloodline, they are qualified to return to the kingdom and become a member of the royal family. This has been a recognized rule since the establishment of the kingdom. Unfortunately, not to mention awakening the pure Divine Era bloodline, even the few who possess the incomplete warlock bloodline among them are scarce. The ancient bloodlines that have become increasingly rare after the end of the Divine Era have taken on mythical colors. The appearance of the ultimate forbidden spell, nuclear explosion, has added a special halo to this mythical color. Everyone believes that Queen Ain was able to unlock the door to the nuclear explosion forbidden spell because she possesses the purest Divine Era bloodline. Compared to the young ladies of the Empire and the Kingdom, the commoner girls selected, bought, by the Chamber of Commerce Alliance pay more attention to Ain's dresses and jewelry. So beautiful, can I wear such clothes and jewelry once in my life? If I can join the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, maybe there will be a chance. Her Majesty the Queen is so beautiful, I swear, no matter how difficult the selection process is, I will join the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Finally, the young girls from the non-human camp were all considered to be Leviathan's followers. Hey, can you feel it? It's so obvious, what a terrifying smell. Is this queen really a human? The girls from the Troll Clan, Mermaid Clan, Lamia Clan, and Dwarf Clan all smelled a certain scent emanating from Ain and Adley. So strong. How is this even possible for a human? Even Saramanda, who fears nothing and is not afraid of anything, was shocked by their ability to resist magic armor with their bodies. Her keen instinct for battle told her that the aura emitted by Ain and Adley was unimaginable. If the power of the human steel giant not long ago was calculated as 100, she would fluctuate between 90 and 120, but the aura emanating from the human queen was at least 4 digits, and possibly even 5 digits. Is this really a human? Are you kidding me? No wonder, even the elders in the clan said not to challenge this queen. Saramanda shook her head and couldn't figure out how many times stronger the opponent was, but she was sure she could defeat many of herself in a second. As long as they were Leviathan's subordinates, they would instinctively sense that the owner with that aura could wipe out everyone here with just one hand. Their wild intuition told them that the presence before them was extremely terrifying, the strongest and most vicious creature they had encountered in their entire lives. It was not an exaggeration to say it was the strongest monster on the ground. Without needing instructions from the Merchant Union, all the Leviathan's subordinates naturally bowed their heads to Ain and Adley. Obeying the strong is the truth that all Leviathan's subordinates follow. It wasn't the fake strength of human magic armor, the aura released by Ain and Adley was absolutely powerful, capable of suppressing everything. It's like a giant dragon. Phew. These troublemakers finally realize the power of the nuclear explosion queen. It looks like the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order can proceed smoothly. I wonder what Queen Ain is thinking. She's allowing even these strange creatures from other races to participate in the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. The nobles and merchants of the Empire and Kingdom gathered in their respective circles, waiting for Queen Ain's proclamation. Many of them were filled with doubts about this selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Recruiting a Knight Order to the entire continent is something that only happened during the unified magical empire of the Divine Era. Since the end of the Divine Era, the continent has split into several countries, and no one has had the ability to recruit a Knight Order to the entire continent. What's more, even the Knight Orders of the Divine Era would never recruit non-human races, let alone limit the recruits to girls under 18. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was already being discussed by countless people, even before it was established. If it wasn't for Ain's absolute will, this would be an impossible thing to happen no matter what. Now, everyone wants to know what Queen Ain, who caused a nuclear explosion, is really up to. Why did she not accept countless young knights who wanted to join her and instead establish this game-like Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order? With her lineage and the identity of a forbidden spellcasting warlock, it is unknown how many excellent knights aspire to become her subordinates and gain recognition. If she agrees to marry, her child might even have the opportunity to directly become the next emperor of the empire, achieving the complete unification of the continent without any bloodshed. If she were a mature queen, it would be expected for her to form a marriage alliance with a prince of the empire, which would meet the expectations of the nobles. Unfortunately, Ain refused, and no one had the ability to change her decision. There's no need to even think about a coup. Ain herself is the kingdom's strongest military force. She doesn't even need an army. With her powers, she alone possesses the ability to destroy a country. The queen, who is the ruler of nuclear explosions, has such a spoiled qualification. Welcome to the Seer Kingdom. Ain looked at the girls gathered in front of the tower square, showing a complicated expression. The kingdom named Seer represents the orthodox of the divine era. The empire named Leviathan represents rebellion and independence. As the queen of Seer, she has been waiting for this moment because it is the path she has chosen for herself. At the same time, she has been refusing this moment because it means that the treasure that originally belonged only to her and Adley will be shared with more people. Chapter 1055. We purchased long ago. I had a dream. Looking at the bustling crowd in the square, those enchanting and unique girls, Ain began to speak up. This is the first time she speaks in front of the public since her official coronation. Now, the people gathered in front of the Divine Era Tower represent the high-ranking powers of this continent. The remaining nobles and royal family of the Seer Kingdom. The Legion commander sent by the Leviathan Empire, the princesses. Representatives of the tribes of the Northern Kingdom, the chieftains. No matter the reason or purpose, all powers chose to respond to Ain's wish and brought the underage girls from their own countries and tribes. For them, it is probably difficult to understand the significance of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order in this world. Political investment, or compensation for defeat, these underage girls are all sacrifices. Before coming here, probably not many of them had thought that one day they would participate in the selection of a knight group. I want to see a broader, more beautiful world. I want to have wings to fly freely. The world is big and small. I will give this world the most beautiful blessings. Ain gently folded her palms, raised her head proudly, and looked at the sky above her. The sky today was exceptionally clear. The blue sky seemed to extend to the end of the world, without even a trace of clouds. The radiant sunlight shone on Ain, giving her figure a touch of sacredness. The dragon's spiritual energy that intertwined and exchanged with the silver dragon egg for a week brought a qualitative leap to her vitality. The current Ain is no longer the unfortunate girl who prayed to shooting stars for the future. She saved her kingdom, saved the future of countless people, and also saved herself. She was more grateful than anyone to the great being who brought all this and made a determined decision. Regardless of any means, regardless of any cost, she was determined to fulfill the sacred covenant with the divine silver dragon. At this moment, there are over 1,000 underage girls gathered here, and it's all because of her use of the Queen's power. I'm sorry for involving you, but your strength is necessary. Even if it's just Adley and me, we wouldn't be able to fulfill the promise with Lord Silverdragon in our lifetime. Going down the steps in front of the tower gate, Ain took Adley's little hand and began inspecting the girls participating in the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. The ones at the front and most easily noticed are the princesses from the Empire. The imperial royalty of Leviathan and the royal family of Seer Kingdom actually share the same ancestry, but due to the first emperor being the first knight on the continent after the Divine Era, more descendants with knight talent appeared on the Empire's side. The princesses from the Empire also mostly wear armor in a girlish style. The round breastplate is emblazoned with the Empire's dragon emblem, which is a series of emblems used by the Empire after the split with the kingdom and can only be used by the princesses. Golden hair, round breastplate, knight sword, red, blue, and white skirt create the unique landscape of the Empire. Throughout generations, the Empire's princesses have produced more than one hero-ranked knight. There was even one emperor who was a queen and was truly the continent's first knight at that time. The Empire princesses who meet the requirements for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order selection are a total of 7. They are all related to Ain, either as cousins or as sisters. However, the 14-year-old Ain and their identity are no longer in the same world as them. Queen Seer, the most powerful Divine Era warlock on the continent, with numerous auras surrounding Ain, has already reached the peak of this world's pyramid. Originally, the Empire princesses who were on equal footing with her are now anxiously waiting for her review, afraid of performing poorly and losing the qualification to participate in the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Seeing the majestic Empire princesses, Ain nodded and felt very satisfied. They truly are princesses of the Empire, both in strength and bloodline. They may not be as outstanding as Ain and Adley, who are Divine-era warlocks, but they must have endured the egg-hatching ceremony for a considerable amount of time. Next are the noble ladies from the Empire and the daughters of tribal chiefs from the Northern Kingdom. The Northern United Kingdom, known as barbarians during the Divine Era, is a primitive tribe. Due to its cold and unproductive land, they are mostly forgotten. During the Divine Era, their best option was to join the Knight Order and become disposable soldiers on the battlefield. No one expected that after the Divine Era ended, these barbarians actually learned human knowledge and began to build their own country. They even made contact with the defeated tribes and eventually established the Northern United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is an alliance-style country composed of 3 of the largest tribes governing themselves. It includes barbarians, nomadic tribes, and some members of other races. In terms of its form as a nation, it is still at a very backward level. However, the fighting power of the barbarians and nomadic tribes has become a huge force that can change the course of the war after the disappearance of magic in the Divine Era. Before the Empire emerged, the strongest opponent of the kingdom was the continuous invasion of nomadic armies and barbarians from the north. The war between the two sides lasted for thousands of years until the Empire suddenly rose and began to invade the territory belonging to the Northern United Kingdom in return. Compared with the well-dressed princesses of the Empire who could become captain of the Knight Squad almost without training, the noble girls from the Empire, Kingdom, and the tribal girls from the Northern United Kingdom formed a sharp contrast. The custom-made armor for the girl knights is not something that all nobles can obtain. It is basically a privilege of the royalty. The noble young ladies mostly wear light leather armor made from the skin of low-level magical creatures. It provides excellent protection against physical attacks. Only a few Duchess daughters have special armor with magical properties. The girls from tribal backgrounds are dressed in equipment that reflects the style of the Northern Alliance Kingdom. Bracelets, anklets, headbands, and even rare ice crystal shields and long swords, showing a completely different style from noble daughters. No one wore the dresses used at the ball, because this was the official selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, not a noble social dance. Behind them were the teams of commoner girls. These poor girls, even with the support of the Merchants' Guild, could only wear standard cloth armor, carry beginner short swords and small round shields. Most of them looked uncomfortable and embarrassed about their equipment. "Well, it doesn't matter because they will all be taken off anyway," Princess Ain said. "Even if you all came wearing amazing equipment, it wouldn't be needed for the next selection." Chapter 1056 We purchased finally. There were the non-human girls that were bought by the Merchants' Alliance from all over the wilderness and seas, who didn't fit in with any of the human girl camps and were even feared by the teams from the Northern Union Kingdom. Mermaid girls who liked to live in giant aquariums, although they had the ability to transform their tails into legs, they were not used to walking on land. They wore unique shell outfits of the sea tribe. Even though most of them were underage, they were all captivating and made many people unable to take their eyes off them. Some even had drooling mouths. As the most beautiful and intelligent species of the Leviathan clan in the ocean, mermaids are rarely seen by humans living on the mainland. This time, it was not the mermaid clan who heard the news of the appearance of the forbidden spell in the Divine Era, and the merchants couldn't contact this rare species living deep in the ocean. With a long tail of 5 to 6 meters behind her, the Lamia clan girl who lived deep in the swamp made many people shiver uncontrollably. Not everyone can accept their unique appearance. With their snake tails, they possess terrifying killing power both on land and in water, rivaling the troll clan in strength. They excel in dual-wield weapon combat, and a very small number of Lamia possess a bloodline talent called the Petrifying Magic Eye. Among the Lamia clan girls participating in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, there is one girl with a spread third eye mark on her forehead, which is the proof of being blessed with the power of the Petrifying Magic Eye, bestowed upon Lamia priestesses. It is evident that they are not very accustomed to the armor they are wearing now. With their impressive upper bodies, they occasionally reach out to touch their equipment. Nestled in the swampy area, they don't need this burdensome armor to protect themselves. Their natural form is their favorite. Tiny dwarven girls, with an average height of less than 1 meter. This is the closest species to humans among the different races. It can be considered a miniaturized version of a human branch. In history, this clan has suffered persecution from humans, and the entire clan migrated underground, adapting to a life without sunlight. They are good at making all kinds of jewelry. With their small bodies and nimble fingers, each one is an excellent thief. Occasionally, they also appear in human adventure teams after the Divine Era, taking on the roles of scouts and lockpickers. At the back of all the teams are the trolls, with an average height of over 2 meters. Their leader, Salamander, is over 3 meters tall. Not long ago, they scared the national team envoy with their troll team. The giant axe that slashed through the cockpit of the Empire's third-generation magic armor is lodged diagonally next to Salamander, emitting an invisible dominance. Compared to the delicate human princesses, the girls from the troll clan are all incredibly strong. But it's not just muscular strength, it's a harmonious combination of strength, speed, and explosive power. They all have a perfect figure, with long legs and stable, powerful hands. They are skilled in using heavy weapons, rallying around their leader, Salamander, and possessing iron-like discipline and willpower. This is a team that has come alive from the Divine Era, once making the human army tremble in fear the Leviathan land ace troop. Even the merchants who brought these troll clan girls out of the northern wilderness dare not breathe in front of them, let alone talk loudly. Their strength is enough to wipe out the convoy that is supposed to escort them 10 times over. Looking at this camp formed by the girls from another race, even the captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, Ain, feels a sense of disbelief. Surprisingly, so many young girls from different races were recruited. These merchants still seem somewhat useful. Compared to Ain's astonishment, these young girls from different races were even more shocked. Before meeting Ain, they had already learned from the elders and priests of their clans that a spellcaster who could wield forbidden spells had been born again among humans. This warlock, who used the power of bloodline to cast spells instead of relying on wisdom like other magicians, was even more rare than a forbidden spell warlock from the Divine Era. Moreover, the forbidden spell they mastered was not a common one like summoning floods, but the ultimate forbidden spell nuclear explosion that had even been sealed away. On their way to the royal capital, all the young girls from different races who came to participate in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order witnessed the scene of nuclear explosion with their own eyes. The destructive power of that kind went beyond anyone's imagination. However, what they truly felt in the presence of the Queen, who was legendary for the nuclear explosion, was something else. The girls from the Mermaid clan couldn't help but sing an ancient song, which praised the greatest living being in this world, the leader of the Leviathan's kin. Spread your wings, and you shall be the king of the sky. Look down upon the earth, and you shall be the ruler of the world. Sing for all things, never rest, O king of Leviathan, fly today as well. This was a song of praise for the mighty dragons, a tribute from the mermaids to the king of Leviathan. Humans, how can they have such a scent? Whispered the ruler of the swamp, the Lamias. They had a small blood connection with the dragon race, although it was a very faint connection, but everyone could feel a certain engraved breath in their blood, rejoicing. Except for the troll clan, an anomaly inheriting the bloodline of the giant race, all other races were unable to resist the dragon's pressure. At least in this world, it didn't exist. The dragon race, standing at the top of the world's pyramid, is the strongest race. Mature dragons are born as hero-ranked beings, and they are the most powerful and invincible among heroes of the same rank. Throughout history, all humans who have accomplished the feat of slaying dragons were holders of the Creator God's weapon, the human heroes who possessed the fragments of the divine sword, Sia. Instead of saying that these human heroes defeated the dragon, it would be more accurate to say that the power of the divine sword Sia suppressed the dragon's advantage. The tiny dwarf girls were so scared that they could barely speak. They were naturally timid, and dragons could easily eat 100 of them with one bite. During the Divine Era, these girls were hated by the dragons because they resembled humans too much. They were not even qualified to go to war. Among all the different races, the dwarfs held the lowest status. They were considered mere reserve food, and some cruel dragons would take their anger out on the dwarfs after being injured in battles against humans. Faced with Ain's dragon's spiritual energy, all the dwarf girls were almost crawling on the ground. In contrast, the troll girls were excited. This is really strong. That's amazing. Chapter 1057 We purchased as descendants of giants, trolls are fearless and even immune to the presence of dragons. Their leader Saramanda has personally killed the most powerful subdragon species on this continent after the dragons disappeared the fire lizard king that lives in the volcano and taken its true name. Even though she knows she can never be a match for the nuclear blast queen, the difference in their fighting abilities is so great that it cannot be calculated, but Saramanda is still excited. She has finally met her match, the strongest monster on the surface of this world. If she can't win now, it's okay, she will work even harder to train. Having an opponent she wants to surpass is completely different from being lost without one. Running away from the clan was the right choice. Ever since she killed that fire lizard king and acquired the true name Saramanda, there has been barely any opponent in the troll clan who can defeat her. After coming to the human world, she first encountered a steel giant who allowed her to have thrilling battles, and now she has encountered the nuclear blast queen whom she cannot possibly defeat. This world is truly amazing. Even during the era of divine war, the wild and untamed troll clan was the only group brave enough to defy the dragon's orders. With their giant bloodline, they never knew the meaning of retreat. On the battlefield, the troll clan never received the command to retreat. Even if the opponent was 10 or even 100 times stronger, the trolls would rush forward for a glorious battle. During the era of divine war, there were numerous famous knight orders on the continent, including the Royal Knight Order led by a dragon-slaying hero. However, no knight order could snatch the title of Land Warfare Ace from the Troll clan. The title of Land Warfare Ace for the Troll clan was not only recognized by the Leviathan faction, but by the entire continent. Only the dragon race that had defeated the giant clan could recruit the troll clan as their soldiers. Now, Saramanda admits that the nuclear blast queen in front of her also qualifies for this. The dragon aura emanating from her body is too evident, and even Saramanda believes she is a dragon who has turned into a human. The other girls from different races also agree on this point. Originally, they were hesitant to join the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, but now all of them acknowledge Ain's power. The warlock from the divine era, the knight's bloodline, ultimately traces back to the bloodline of Sia. As descendants of Sia, humans expelled the dragons from the continent and obtained the crown of the land. Due to the long period of weakness in the magic tide, the reproduction rate of all foreign races has significantly declined. Powerful races like Lamia and Trolls are approaching the endangered state where they cannot sustain their population size. The foreign girls gathered here are almost the last hope representing their respective races in this world. The appearance of the forbidden spell from the divine era has given a glimmer of hope to the leaders of various races who are familiar with the history of the divine era. The price offered by human merchants is just a starting point. The underage foreign girls gathered here carry the mission of their respective races, coming to witness the charm of the legendary forbidden spell warlock from the divine era. Ain didn't disappoint them. Queen Ain, who possesses the bloodline of Sia from the crown of the land and the dragon aura of the ocean crown, only with the released aura, established her authority among the scarce bloodlines of foreign races in this world. They acknowledged Ain and decided to proactively join this Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. This point was not only noticed by Ain, but also by the merchants and noble representatives who have been observing these dangerous foreign girls. These monsters seem to have become much quieter. They truly live up to being divine-era forbidden spell warlocks. They must have sensed the strength of Her Majesty the Queen. It looks like they might actually be chosen to become members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Those who are not descendants of Leviathan cannot perceive the strong dragon aura emanating from Ain. Humans clearly misunderstood the reason for their sudden tranquility. Are you all ready? Even Ain herself is somewhat unfamiliar with these girls from different races. The Mermaid clan, residing in the ocean, the Lamia clan, hiding in swamps, the Troll clan, living near the volcano, and occasionally the gnomes appearing in human kingdoms. All of these powerful races disappeared a long time ago. Or perhaps it's easier for people to call these races monsters, nightmares that humans avoid, equating them with the fierce creatures on the mainland. The only difference is that those ferocious creatures lack intelligence, whereas these powerful races have their own unique civilization and heritage. The histories of mermaids and lamias are even older than that of humans. They have existed as dragon descendants for tens of millions of years, even longer than the birth of humans. Great Queen Ain, the mermaid clan is willing to serve you. The next successor of the mermaid clan, a girl named Heidi, smiled and presented her most precious seashell. Lamia clan is willing to join the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Meros, the only priestess of the Lamia clan in this generation, also presented her own scale, which is the highest Lamia etiquette. We surrender, please don't eat us, we can do anything. All the underage girls of the dwarf tribe bowed down, hands raised, offering their gemstones. This represents their abandonment of all rights and allowing the adversary to do as they please. As reserve food for the giant dragons, they don't have the qualification to serve the dragons. They can only express their loyalty in such a humble way. From now on, you'll be the leader. Give us the best equipment, and I will devote my life to you. Saramanda casually tossed her hair, giving a thumbs up. As the strongest land combat specialist of the Leviathan, this is a special privilege exclusive to the Troll clan. In the entire world of Sia, only the Dragon clan can provide the most suitable equipment for the Troll clan, which is why the Troll clan willingly serves the Dragon clan. With the giant axe in her hand as an example, she immediately noticed that it was a divine-era equipment tailor-made for trolls, much better than the small god weapons used by humans. Ain was a little confused and puzzled. When did she have such commanding power and authority? Clearly, all she did was ask the question, "Are you ready?" How come it seemed so overwhelmingly effective? Look, the kingdoms, empires, and representatives of merchants over there, one by one, were astonished. Some even seemed almost petrified. This scene was recorded by many people and eventually became a famous painting, The Sacred Covenant. Chapter 1058. We purchased future generations of people, when they see this painting, can't help but fantasize. At that time, Her Majesty the Queen possessed such great foresight and noble charisma that even the demon race, who were regarded as enemies of humanity, calmly came under her command. On the huge canvas, the scene of that day was completely reproduced. Queen Ain, wearing a platinum-colored gown, held hands with Adley, who was the first princess of the kingdom at the time, and bathed in golden sunlight. In front of her, there were princesses from the human empire, daughters of tribal chieftains, as well as young ladies from duke and count families. However, the most eye-catching ones were the monster girls who originally belonged to the Leviathan faction. Princess Heidi from the Mermaid clan, the future queen of the Merfolk, walked out of the aquatic tank and presented the shell from her own horn to the Supreme Queen. The priestess of the Lamia clan, future high priestess of the whole clan, lowered her head and took out a scale representing her own life from her chest, handing it to Queen Ain. The girls from the dwarf tribe presented the most magnificent and colorful gems, many of which were precious magical crystals. Saramanda, the destined king of the Troll clan, who was known as the King of Rampage, also gave a thumbs up to Queen Ain. Behind him, the Troll Legion, the strongest land-based combat unit of the Leviathan faction, joined the human forces for the first time. In comparison, the highest level of humans in that era, in this famous painting named Sacred Covenant, are just vague shadows, without even showing their faces. This is Queen Ain's magnificent gala, and also the beginning of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. At the top of the canvas, a pair of silver dragon wings appeared faintly. At that time, nobody knew the biggest secret that was going to bring about a change in the world. It was exactly for this reason that the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was formed. Well, Ain said that she didn't think so much. When she first recruited the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, she never thought that the merchants would be so bold as to bring in the most terrifying enemy races from the past divine era. When she saw the mermaids, Lamia, and trolls, she thought that these races had already disappeared from the continent. Ain wasn't the only one who thought that. Since the end of the Divine Era War and the dragons leaving the continent, These races seemed to have completely vanished overnight, and humans couldn't find any trace of them. This time, it was completely the races themselves who approached the human merchants and made many secret deals. It can only be said that for profit, the merchants were truly crazy enough to hang themselves. By connecting with the most powerful queen of the continent, it was not just a profit of 300%, but an infinite future. Well, that's okay. It's good if we can find it. Thinking back to the back cover of the book, The Correct Method of Hatching Dragon Eggs, Ain quickly accepted the loyalty of the girls from different races who appeared around the dragon eggs with a pure and natural manner. Everything is for the promise with the great silver dragon. After reviewing the past week, Ain counted the number of people participating in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. The total is about 3,120 people. If we add Ain and Adley, it would be 3,122 people. The majority are humans, while the number of different races is only about 1/10 of the humans. The most numerous are the dwarf race, with about 100 people, and the least numerous is the Lamia, with only a 10-person small team. It can be said that these 3,000 people are basically the most outstanding underage girls on this continent, not just humans, but also including all the different races. All members are under 18 years old and have maintained their innocent nature, also meeting the prerequisite of being pretty and cute. After all, not every world is like Water God's world, where the magic of the Water God has influenced all races to become beautiful and lovely for millions of years, to the point where even a terrifying number of 1,000,000 brides can be gathered. The 3,000 people here can be seen as the most outstanding and beautiful collection of underage girls in the land named Sia in this era. Everything is as Queen Ain of the Great Nuclear Blast wished. She used her influence and full efforts to accomplish a feat that even heroes in the divine era could not achieve. I'm really cunning. I'm sorry for using you. But it is necessary. Ain walked back to the tower of the divine era and looked at the 3,000 underage girls gathered in front of her. It is impossible for her and Adley to hatch dragon eggs in their lifetime. There won't be a more perfect divine era bloodline on this continent than theirs. So, let's make up for it with hundreds or thousands of times the quantity. The 3,000 people gathered here now were selected as the best of the best. Whether they can pass the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order depends on whether they can hold on. Sister, do they have to do the same thing as us? Those kinds of wow, parfu things. Adley blushed and asked her sister about the 3 books she read, The Shameless and Lustful Demon King and the Story of 1,000 Princesses That Must Be Told, The Shameless and Lustful Demon King and the Story of 1,000 Sisters That Must Be Told, The Shameless and Lustful Demon King and the Story of 1,000 Daughters That Must Be Told were originally written by the Divine Era author. Compared to her sister, she seemed too petite and often overlooked. In fact, the dragon's aura that made all the girls from different races submit just now was mostly unintentionally released by Adley. However, because the title of Ain, the Nuclear Blast Queen, was so impressive, the mermaid, Lamia, and troll girls subconsciously saw Adley as the owner of the dragon's aura. In reality, Adley was the hidden big boss whose power had already surpassed her sister. She just didn't realize it because she had never held anything heavier than a teddy bear in her life. Let's test their talents ourselves. A faint blush appeared on Ain's cheek. It's really unwilling. Originally it belonged only to her, but first her own younger sister discovered it, and now she had to willingly share it with these 3,000 girls. Clearly, she wanted to keep this secret all to herself more than anyone else. Adley is still young, probably doesn't know what such intimacy represents. Clearly, being under 18 shouldn't have any contact with this field. Why, everything was originally hers first, the first touch, the first intimate contact, the first exchange. That happiness, as if melting, was originally her secret alone. Fate can be so cruel. Chapter 1059. Well then, let's start preparing for the assessment. Ain adjusted the crown on her head. Until now, she still couldn't believe that she was really wearing this ancient crown that has been passed down from the divine era. Even though she was only 14 years old, there had never been a precedent in the kingdom's history for an underage princess to inherit the throne. Everything has changed. From the day the sacred silver dragon fell from the starry sky to this land, countless people's destinies were destined to be changed. She was lucky. The magnificent silver dragon happened to fall right in the base of the Empire's first magic army legion, and she was the first one to discover it and bring it back. Making a promise with the silver dragon, she swore to spare no cost in hatching this magnificent and sacred creature from its egg. This was the mission bestowed upon her. From the moment she touched that silver dragon egg, she strongly felt this. Therefore, even if it meant deceiving the whole world, she was willing to do so. Things like the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order were nothing but a huge lie, a century-long lie that deceived the kingdom, the empire, and even other races. What she needed was not the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, but a pure girl who could help her hatch a silver dragon egg. Just like the book The Correct Method for Hatching Dragon Eggs says, it's best if the pure, beautiful girls who are under 18 years old have a divine era bloodline, and rare exotic bloodlines are also welcomed. Now, she finally succeeded. Under the name of the non-existent Nuclear Blast Queen, she chose to establish the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, giving up the easily obtainable political and economic benefits. She was so stubborn that she couldn't be any more stubborn. She was so fake that she couldn't be any more fake. She deceived the country, deceived the people, and deceived the entire world. How will history record her in the future? As the cruel and heartless Nuclear Blast Queen, or as the spoiled and deceitful trickster? These 3,000 underage girls were all caught up in this massive deception. The selection of the so-called Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was just a disguise from the very beginning. That selection actually ended the moment these unsuspecting underage girls were gathered in front of the Divine Era Tower. She would not spare anyone here in order to hatch the Holy Silver Dragon egg. In a sense, these underage girls are all sacrifices, chosen as tools to ensure a 100% success in hatching the dragon egg. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order should actually be called the Girl Knight Order for hatching dragon eggs. Is it starting now? The Knight Princess squad from the Empire took deep breaths, adjusted themselves, and raised their spirits to the optimal state. The Empire's method of selecting knights is extremely strict, including swordsmanship, horsemanship, armor usage, and recently, handling skills of the magic armor prototype. Each assessment must reach an excellent level in order to be bestowed the title of knight by the Empire. It can be said that every knight in the Empire's Knight Order is an elite among elites, an ace on the battlefield. The imperial family of the Empire is even more exceptional. They have inherited the bloodline of the Empire's first emperor and are hailed as the top knight lineage on the continent. All of them have chosen the path of knighthood. Without the sudden arrival of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, they were supposed to join the Empire's Knight Order called Princess Knight Order and serve as the team leader. In fact, among the princesses who came to participate in the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, there was one who was hailed as the most outstanding genius of the noble class in the Empire, Princess Roland, and the kingdom's Princess Aine, who were known as the Twin Stars. Both being 14 years old, just a week ago, Roland had thought about using her power to save her comrades, but who could have expected such a huge turn of events in the battle? 1 week later, when the Empire's Princess Roland met her best friend again, their statuses were completely different. Roland was still the Empire's highly anticipated future Knight Rising Star and the original future vice-captain of the Empire's Princess Knight Order, while Aine had become the Queen Majesty of the kingdom and the only Divine-era warlock on the continent. Things happened too quickly, and now when Roland looked at her good sister, her eyes still seemed a bit confused. What exactly happened? Why did Aine suddenly acquire the power of the Divine-era magic overnight? When they had interactions in the Empire, she clearly never won a single time against her, who was a knight. Moreover, Roland clearly remembered that she had no interest in knights at all. She was the elegant princess who preferred to sit quietly under a parasol and enjoy tea, reading books. She was completely different from her, who was always called a tomboy princess knight. Why does Aine suddenly want to establish an unheard-of knight order called the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order with such a strange name? The dragon, which is the ultimate creature at the top of the pyramid in this world, has always been the totem of the Leviathan Empire, you know. The totem that the Seer Kingdom believes in is clearly the sword representing Seer's divine sword. Even the emblem of the strongest royal knight order in the kingdom is a sword of the king. Not only the knight princesses of the empire are getting nervous, but also other noble girls and common girls are becoming tense in a similar way. Many noble girls are carrying the pressure of their entire family. If they are eliminated in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, it will become a lifelong shame for the family. The daughters of merchants inherit their parents' calculation abilities. Once eliminated, the loss of money is enough to make their faces turn pale and make them feel terrible. The thoughts of ordinary girls are much simpler. If they lose this opportunity, they will probably never live the good days of having bread and steak every day again. They will have to go back to the days of frequently starving and having the good food taken away by their brothers at home. In this world where power is revered, male strength far exceeds that of women. Except for a few noble girls who are well-fed and well-clothed due to their parents' favor, most ordinary girls cannot eat good food at all. Meat and such, only after passing through all the male members of the father, older brother, younger brother, can the female members share the remains. The seeds from the divine era, agriculture techniques, lost their power from the magic tower and became history. Pretty commoner girls mostly become lovers of the nobles, while the noble daughters become tools for arranged marriages. When Queen Anne declared the establishment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, it changed the fate of many commoner girls and gave them new hope. Even if it's a scam, they are willing to jump down willingly, just to seize that one ray of hope. Chapter 1060. Do you want to fight? Do you want to fight? Salamander was immediately excited, her chest held high, and her breathing became faster. Unlike the nervousness and unease of human girls, the troll clan is a naturally combative race, and Salamander couldn't wait to start a big fight. When it comes to war, even the dragon clan, located at the top of the pyramid in this world, is inferior to the troll clan, which inherited the bloodline from the giants. The ancient giants loved to fight against the sky, the earth, and even the air. They were always fighting and causing chaos. In Sia's world, there were several separate continents that were created by the drifting of giant-sized land plates. Eventually, the dragon clan couldn't stand it anymore and decided to defeat the giants. The bodies of the deceased giants turned into mountains, and their blood became rivers. They returned to dust and the earth, bringing peace back to the world. The troll clan, descendants of the giants, inherited some of the giants' immortality. They were the most formidable opponents during the Divine Era War. Let's go. Let the war begin. Excited Salamander pointed her fingers at two powerful teams of human girls, Princess Roland's team, known as the strongest, and Lamia's team, the only ones who could match the trolls in close combat. Human knights possessed the most balanced attributes among all races. They were skilled with various weapons, and when they fought together, their strength surpassed the sum of individual strengths. The Lamia clan possessed a power equal to that of the troll clan. They were agile and had impressive magical abilities. They were the only close combat forces in the Leviathan faction who could compete with the troll clan. However, the trolls had an unfair advantage: they couldn't die, even if their heads were cut off or their hearts pierced. Their position as the best ground soldiers couldn't be challenged by any other race. In a one-on-one martial arts competition, Lamia might have a slight advantage over the trolls due to their perfect skills and talents. But when it came to life and death battles on the battlefield, no race wanted to fight against the troll clan. The trolls in the troll clan have a special gift that makes them nearly invincible. They are strong and resistant to both physical attacks and magic. Some people even say they cheat. Whenever a troll needs to be killed, it often costs the humans a whole army. The humans have to outsmart the trolls and attack them in large numbers to have a chance of winning. When the trolls gather together and charge at the humans, it becomes an impossible situation for the humans to find a tactical solution. In the war between the human army and the Leviathan faction during the Divine Era, the ratio of casualties was never less than 30-1. The humans lost 9 out of 10 battles, and the ones they won were usually very close. The reason the humans ended up with control of the continent is mainly because they are able to reproduce at a faster rate. Even with a casualty ratio of 30-1 or even 100-1, the humans were able to outlast the Leviathan faction. The troll clan didn't lose on the battlefield, they lost because they were outnumbered. The humans sacrificed countless lives to defeat the Leviathan's strongest soldiers, forcing the trolls to retreat without fighting. The recent battle between the human elite knight Morris and Salamander was like a replay of the Divine-era war. The hero-ranked humans fought bravely and gained a strategic advantage, even dealing a deadly blow to their opponent. But the trolls could still fight back strongly even after losing their weapons. Morris is currently receiving treatment in a hospital. Lamia's priestess, Harlow, frowned and drew her own special weapon, a pair of curved swords. Other Lamia also pulled out their own special weapons. Most of them were curved swords, but there were also very long spike swords, and even human sword and shield combinations. All Lamia are weapon masters, naturally skilled in using various nimble weapons, which sharply contrasts with the troll clan, who specialize in heavy weapons. That 6-meter-long snake tail, just like the troll's immunity to death, is the pride of the Lamia and a special weapon that few trolls fear. In the historical battles within the Leviathan faction, Lamia often completely immobilized trolls in one-on-one combat, achieving victory and becoming the only special unit among melee combatants able to gain an advantage over trolls. If it weren't for the fact that the Lamia clan prefers to operate in swamps and humid tropical rainforests and doesn't particularly like plains and mountainous regions, the human's nightmare on the battlefield would have to be increased. The troll clan doesn't care about this, having the innate ability of immunity to all attributes and the talent to survive even with their heads severed. They can endure any harsh environment, truly a versatile land combat unit. I've always heard the elders say that Lamia are very powerful. I really want to try it out, Salamander eagerly said. The knight's selection, after all, was about displaying strength, and that was her specialty. As long as they're trolls, they are natural elite land combat units. It's not an exaggeration to say they are the strongest creatures on land. As descendants of giants, they have inherited the tradition of challenging the sky, the earth, and the air, and they won't back down from a fight. Except for the leader of the Leviathan faction, the dragon race, the troll clan pays no attention to anyone else. It is pure delusion for any other race to think they can command the troll clan. The trolls on the battlefield are like perpetual motion machines. They won't stop until there is a river of blood and one side completely collapses. The trolls on the battlefield, surrounded by the human army, are a unique army that can continue fighting without any logistical support. When they are hungry, they eat meat. When they are thirsty, they drink blood. They have no preference for raw food. That's why they have the reputation of being man-eating monsters. Actually, it's a misunderstanding. If you replace the troll army with a human army surrounded by a force 10 or 100 times stronger, with no logistical support, isolated and without any chance of surrender, they would likely resort to cannibalism out of desperation. The trolls just act more instinctively and openly. Besides, the concept of surrender doesn't exist in the troll's mind. Killing enemies is just a natural thing to do. Being killed by enemies and returning to the earth is like returning to the embrace of their giant ancestors. What is there to fear? For the trolls, as earth children, the ground beneath their feet is their mother and the ultimate home for all trolls. Dying in battle is an honor for the trolls, much better than dying of old age in their tribe. In reality, trolls don't die of old age. When they sense that they are close to death, their choices are either to challenge unbeatable monsters and let themselves be eaten, or to simply jump into the volcano. Being torn apart by enemies on the battlefield and having all their flesh set alight before dying, this is one of the most anticipated ways for trolls to meet their end. Chapter 1061 Boom. Like tiny stones falling into a calm water surface, creating ripples one after another. Salamander heard this sound again, just like when she used her powerful Salamander bloodline to fight against a heavy magic-armored knight weighing 50 tons. Moreover, the sound she heard this time was even clearer and more impactful, as if the owner of the sound was very close by. The specific location is Salamander tightly gripping the troll battle axe in her hand, looking at the ancient tower behind Queen Ain, which seemed mysterious and unfathomable. Even the troll clan, who lived in the volcanic Forbidden Zone, had heard of that tower, which was one of the few ancient structures on this continent older than all the troll ages combined. The troll clan is a warrior race and knows nothing about building tall towers. Their weapons and equipment are mostly made of natural materials. A Divine Era tower is something that the troll clan would remember, as it represents something extraordinary. Boom. She heard it again, the exhilarating sound of her heartbeat, which made her own heartbeat seem insignificant. If this is the heartbeat of a living being, then the owner of this heartbeat must be immense and strong. Who? Ha. With pride, Saramanda raised her head high, not knowing why, but feeling very happy. We fear no trolls, the troll clan can fight. No matter what the selection for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is, she is absolutely confident in her abilities. The extraordinary confidence deeply influenced the troll team behind Saramanda, as they too lifted their heads high, exuding a fierce aura, looking at all their opponents. Why are you staring, monsters? There are humans who are fearless, especially those chieftain girls from the northern tribes. With their warrior bloodlines, they stand tall and refuse to back down. Chmph, what's the big deal? The troll squad rubbed their hands together, ready to show off their skills. Oh, sorry, I meant to say they were ready to show what they're capable of. No matter the selection for any knight group, whether it's from the Divine Era or modern times, the trolls will always dominate as the strongest soldiers. This is the truth engraved in the blood of the troll clan. No other race can impress the trolls, except for the dragons. They are just like that, being stubborn as earth children. The selection area for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order became tense in an instant. As expected, the troll clan once again became the enemy of everyone. This is not a rare occurrence, as during the Divine Era War, no other soldiers wanted to fight alongside the troll clan. Anyone who has done something foolish like this received a bloody lesson. When the trolls shouted and charged at the enemies, they would often go into a frenzy without distinguishing between friend or foe. Well, being a troll, even if they get their head chopped off by a teammate's heavy weapon, or even if their brain gets smashed out, they can quickly regenerate in the same spot. Other soldiers, like the Lamia who are just as powerful in solo combat as the trolls, don't possess this ability. The best way to use these top-tier soldiers, the trolls, is to let them loose and not care about anything else, allowing the enemy to suffer. In the end, a small team can be sent to clean up the battlefield. Fighting alongside trolls in a group is even more dangerous than going to battle. Have you ever seen a war where your side had more casualties than the enemy? You can witness that by fighting with trolls. It's better not to fight alongside the dangerous troll clan if you don't possess the immortal talent of an earth child. Leave the trolls behind to deal with the enemy themselves. That's the right way to use the troll manual. Come on, all of you can join in, it's fine. Saramanda, fear nothing. Saramanda proudly straightened her ample chest. She gripped her troll war axe with one hand and extended her index finger with the other, striking a pose that she herself didn't quite understand. Saramanda is the best big sister. Saramanda is invincible. You better surrender now, or get ready for Saramanda's wrath. With just one charge, Saramanda can make you cry for your mommy. The troll girls who came to the human world quickly learned the mercenaries' foul language. With their towering height, they walked around with an air of superiority, creating a sense of immense intimidation. Let's fight. We are the Wilderness Bride team. The chief's daughters, who call themselves Wilderness Brides, jumped out. In the northern United Kingdom, only the most capable and strongest girls in the wilderness have the qualification to be called Wilderness Brides. This title, like the Empire's Princess Knight, the Troll's Earthchild, and the Kingdom's Divine Era Warlock, is the highest honor. The girl with the title of Wilderness Bride must go through a series of trials that seem impossible for humans. To obtain the tribe's recognition and become a Wilderness Bride, the girl must empty-handedly knock down a gorilla, use a stone spear to defeat a saber-toothed tiger and a giant bear, hunt and kill a killer whale in the water, and if necessary, fight the giant squid king for 300 rounds. Don't be fooled by their simple equipment. Although they are not on the same level as the Empire's Princess Knights, their fighting power is considered monstrous among humans, almost being kicked out of the human camp. Hee. Barbarians. As a neighbor of the wilderness, although Saramanda rarely encounters them, she has met a few warriors claiming to be from the Northern Kingdom. Well, she single-handedly knocked down a group of them and took all their equipment. Unfortunately, those equipment were not made specifically for trolls, so they were not very durable. They weren't as good as the big stick she found herself. You, and all of you attack together. If you can chop off my head once, then you can consider yourselves winners. Ah, only the troll clan would utter such hair-raising words. Even if their head is chopped off and their brain goo spills out, trolls have the ability to resurrect. Among all the intelligent races in the continent, only trolls have this unique talent. Not even the dragons have this immortality. To completely kill a troll, you need a digestive system like the Fire Lizard King, who can even digest lava. Alternatively, following the practices of the Divine Era War, you have to slice a troll's body into countless pieces and then burn all the fragments to ashes using the molten adhesive extracted from the magic furnace in the magic tower. Otherwise, Earthchild's trolls will make you understand what it means for a wildfire to burn endlessly and for spring breeze to revive, what it means to only cut grass without removing the roots, and regret for 1,000 years. Thud. Saramanda heard it and felt her face turn red and her heart race even more. It was like the heartbeat was praising her performance. What is this feeling? For the first time, she felt a warm sensation all over her body, as if she was stepping on fluffy clouds. Today, Saramanda was the best Saramanda. Chapter 1062. Watching the intense atmosphere between the Princess Knight Order, Wilderness Bride Group, Lamia Squad, and Troll Team below, Ain let out a sigh. They must have no idea what awaits them next. This is truly a meaningless conflict. Stop, the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is not held here. Ain's voice carried a tremendous pressure for everyone present. Even the most wild Saramanda paused her attack and looked at Queen Ain in front of the tall tower with a puzzled expression. Is it not here? Besides here, there is nowhere else in the capital city that can host a knight selection event with over 3,000 people. Everyone, gather. Ain didn't explain, but from the moment these 3,000 underage girls were gathered here, everything had already been decided. Everything is ready, only the east wind is missing. Princess Knights join the Knight Squad according to their respective factions, noble girls of the kingdom join the kingdom, and the daughters of merchants join the trade union alliance. Commoner girls are automatically categorized, while girls from different races gather according to their own race. Social class and race are naturally inseparable elements in this world, and soon everyone found their own group. Come in, only underage girls who have been summoned this time. Others are not allowed to enter. The mysterious Divine Era Tower, which has always been a great mystery, has unprecedentedly opened its doors to outsiders who are not Divine Era bloodline warlocks. Here, there is a special place where the oldest secret of the Divine Era is hidden, a place used for hatching dragon eggs. Until the generation of Ain, this secret had no meaning at all. Nobody could have imagined that the magical towers and sky garden, which once represented the glory of the Divine Era, would completely disappear. Only a small portion of the underground cemetery survived. Among all the towers standing on Earth, there is only this Divine Era tower, with no other like it. What? The selection takes place inside the tall tower? How could this tower possibly have a place for the selection of 3,000 people? Unbelievable. Wasn't it said that this tower doesn't allow humans without Divine Era bloodline to enter? Representatives of the major forces, who were prepared to witness the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order selection from start to finish, were left in awe. Who would have thought that the selection would not take place on the square in front of the tower, but inside the tower itself? Despite the fact that this tower is of unparalleled height on the continent and is surrounded by a mysterious magical barrier, it is hard to believe that 3,000 people could be accommodated for the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. All the girls who participated in this selection were stunned. They could actually enter this tower, which is famous as the most mysterious relic in the continent. After the collapse of the Divine Era civilization, this is the Holy Land in the hearts of all the mags on the continent, the only remaining relic of the Divine Era with great achievement. The height, more than 300 meters. It presents a white spiral structure, like stairs falling from the clouds, protected by ancient magic barriers. No matter when you look at it, it is as white as new, without any trace of time. The Tower of Origins, the God Tower, the Tower of Observation Stars. This tower is filled with so many mysterious vibes. Even the troll clan in the volcano area knows that it is a remarkable creation of human civilization. Throughout history, this tower has been the symbol of the Seer Kingdom, the proof of the nation. But the problem is, how can this tower accommodate 3,000 people for the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order? It's not like stacking people up, it can't be that simple. Let's go, you will soon know the answer, Ain smiled subtly. But from the appearance alone, probably everyone would think that this tower is not a building for people to live in. Whether it is the spiral-shaped pointed roof or the unique white tower body, they resemble some kind of sacred symbol, like a staircase leading to heaven, towering above. In history, at the most crowded time in this tall tower, there were only a dozen people. All the food and everyday items were brought in from the outside. If you don't go inside the tall tower, you might never imagine what it looks like inside. This place is not just a tower for stargazing, it has a more sacred purpose. Now Ain only just learned why many of the structures inside the tower exist, and what those special rooms are prepared for. In the name of the Tower Master, grant access to the second level. Ain gently blew on the halo at their fingertip, releasing countless white particles of light that covered over 3,000 young girls in the courtyard. This is a spell that only the Tower Master, with the highest authority in this tower, can use. It marks each and every member of the aspiring Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, totaling about 3,000 people. There will be no mistakes. With this mark personally applied by the Tower Master, only outsiders without the Divine Era Warlock bloodline can enter this Divine Era tower as guests. In history, the Seer royal family has only used this mark on less than a few dozen outsiders. These people were all renowned strong individuals on the continent, had good relations with the Seer royal family, and absolute loyalty. Even so, they only gained the lowest level of access to the third floor and signed a confidentiality agreement. They will absolutely not reveal what they see inside the tower. The whole tower is divided into 4 levels of authority. The highest authority is held by the kingdom bloodline, which only those with pure blood can possess. In this generation, it is Ain and Adley. The third level of authority is only for temporary guests. They can only stay in the tower for 1 day and read some of the public books. The second level of authority is for the royal family who don't have the divine Erololok bloodline. It is like a semi-permanent authority. The holders of this authority can freely enter the tower and move around, except for a few restricted areas. The first level of authority is only possessed by the successors of the highest authority. It is almost equivalent to the future highest authority, the next ruler of the tower. In other words, Princess Ain is granting these aspiring members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order the same authority as the royal family. With nervous and anxious feelings, the girls who came to participate in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order started to line up and enter this incredibly mysterious Divine Era tower in their respective order. The front team of Knight Princesses is lucky to be the first team that is not from the kingdom bloodline but still enters the Divine Era tower together. The Divine Era ruins that have never been opened to the Empire before have opened their doors to them. After passing through an ancient corridor engraved with the history of the kingdom, they finally see the interior of the tower. This is it. As Roland, the core of the Imperial team, saw the scenery inside the tower for the first time, he was stunned. What a beautiful world it is. Is this truly a sealed high tower? Why is it possible to see the sun inside this ancient tower? Chapter 1063. Ain looked at the amazed girls around her and couldn't help but show a nostalgic smile. On that day, when she first came to the Divine Era Tower, she was as astonished as these girls, almost holding her breath. From the outside, this ancient Divine Era Tower looks like a towering obelisk between heaven and earth, with a spiral structure resembling stairs descending from the heavens. Perfect artwork. A masterpiece like a deity. Countless words of praise and countless poems celebrate this ancient tower, which becomes more famous over time. However, the majority of them would never imagine what the inside of this tower looks like throughout their lifetime. Walking through the historical corridor, engraved with history, and passing through a closed curtain of light, a massive garden appears before the girls. Yes, it's a garden that includes all 4 seasons, with a multi-layered structure called the Sky Garden. One small garden after another connects through magical ribbons, cascading waterfalls from the sky, finally landing in a lake at the base of the tower. At the very top of the tower, There is a small sun that isn't created by human technology yet. It's an artificial sun simulated by a magic pool during the Divine Era. Over 100 gardens are spread throughout the tower, each cultivating different flowers and plants of various properties, including species that have long been extinct from the continent since the end of the Divine Era. Every garden has its own little world, which perfectly imitates the scenery of a specific area. From the steamy rainforests of the south, to the icy landscapes of the north. From the tropical climate of the east, to the desert oases of the west. Based on their ecological characteristics and distribution, various precious medicinal plants are cultivated in gardens that suit their needs. These gardens are interconnected, creating a unique order. Butterflies with pale golden wings flutter about, diligently pollinating these rare flowers. They trim the aging branches with their wings and collect the necessary fruits. Everything is well organized. The inside of the tall tower is many times larger than what can be observed from the outside. It can accommodate not just 3,000 girls, but even several times more. And this is not everything the tower has to offer. Around the lake at the tower's base, a slowly opening door reveals a passage leading to the underground. There, an even larger space can hold up to 20,000 people without any problem. According to Ain's knowledge, these magical creatures called fairy butterflies have been residing in the tower since its construction, and the tower masters have never had authority over them. These butterflies, responsible for maintaining the Divine Era tower, have been part of the tower since the Divine Era began. No matter how they were attracted to this tower from the outside, this remaining miracle building of the Divine Era has become the final home for these fairy butterflies. If they leave this tower unaffected by the magic tide, they would even suffocate in the outside world. This is a rare fantasy creature that should have been completely extinct long ago, a species extremely rare in the Divine Era. They naturally love taking care of plants, carefully nurturing these rare plant species that have long disappeared from the outside world. If these vibrant and rare flowers were sold in the outside world, each would be worth a fortune. Shades of emerald, deep blue, vibrant red, pale gold, and countless other colors intertwine in this vast spiral garden. Everything feels so natural. The immense vitality nurtures every inch of the land, even the air is filled with refreshing life energy. Standing here, taking a breath, you can feel the abundant magic, as if time itself has stagnated in this tower. This is the concentration of magic that only existed in the Divine Era. Whether it's the miniature sun in the sky, the lakes at the bottom of the tower, the gravity-defying floating waterfall, or these flying fairy butterflies, they all give a dreamlike and enchanting atmosphere, like a immortal world. In the past, Ain never understood where the various medicinal plants harvested by fairy butterflies went, and what purpose the huge palace beneath the tower served. It wasn't until she opened the book Proper Methods for Hatching Dragon Eggs and learned a lot about hatching dragon eggs that she suddenly understood. These flowers and medicines have been carefully chosen because they can quickly replenish magic and vitality. Some of them are even considered rare treasures. The value of these flowers and medicines lies in their ability to awaken the vitality of the huge pond and nourish the girls responsible for the hatching ceremony, granting them great benefits. In other words, everything here, whether it's the gardens or the fairy butterflies raised here, are treasures prepared for the ultimate purpose of hatching eggs. Even the tower master cannot use their highest authority to affect the operation of these butterflies and the entire aerial courtyard system. Ain has always suspected that the tower master's highest authority may have an unknown privilege, which is the ultimate authority of this tower. These things, didn't they disappear during the Divine Era? Roland, the princess of the empire, was not only a talented knight but also an excellent scholar. Just by glancing at them, she discovered dozens of ancient species that have not been seen since the end of the Divine Era. Those butterflies are so beautiful, and they can even trim branches. Oh my, look at the water. These butterflies can freely move in the water, and there are so many gemstones at the bottom of the lake. This is a relic from the Divine Era. It's like a dreamy sky garden. The first group of people who entered the tall tower were all amazed. The ancient relics from the past made everyone question if they were dreaming. Do not disturb these magical butterflies. They are the caretakers of this tower. You can freely enjoy the scenery here and relax in the garden or read books. Pay attention. Unless you have the permission of the fairy butterfly, you must not destroy anything here. If they get angry, you will be thrown out of the tower. The place you will live is in the lower area, located in an underground palace. Ain explained the rules of the Divine Era Tower while leading a group of about 300 people towards the underground entrance by the lake. The quiet lake was adorned with millions of naturally formed gemstone crystals, resembling a small jewel ocean, sacred and dazzling. If it weren't for the special rules that prevent the items from this tower from being taken outside, the kingdom wouldn't have lost so badly. Those rare herbs would have been enough to cultivate 10 royal knight units. Chapter 1064. Unfortunately, this is just an unrealistic fantasy. If we consider this tall tower as a property, then the tower master with the highest authority is the manager of this property, but not the owner. The manager has the power to bring guests in and let them stay in the property, but they are not allowed to interfere with the original residents of the tower, the fairy butterflies who have been living here since the Divine Era. This marvelous spiral courtyard in the sky is a place where all kinds of rare plants are cultivated. It is a miracle where hundreds of flowers bloom together, and it is the last remaining sky garden in the world. After millions of years of silence, this miraculous building, built with the goal of hatching eggs, finally welcomes its opening moment once again. About 300 people in an orderly manner walk to the open underground passage, then gather and line up at Ain's command. Soon, the second and third teams also entered this isolated miracle place from outside the Divine Era Tower. Without exception, everyone couldn't help but exclaim in awe when they saw this spiral sky garden. Especially the mermaid girls from the sea. Their eyes sparkled brighter and brighter when they saw the crystal-clear lake and the gleaming gemstones scattered on the lake bed. Even in the real ocean, these rare gems are extremely rare and they are pure magical crystals. After the magic tide enters a weakened stage, these gems formed from magical crystals can only be occasionally found in the most dangerous deep-sea areas. They are truly treasures. In a sense, these gems can be considered strategic resources because they can store the power of magic and allow non-magical beings to use magic. During the Divine Era War, a mine that can produce magic crystals was enough to cause a fierce competition between the human camp and the Leviathan faction. And those were just the lowest grade clear crystals. The magic crystals here have all absorbed the pure magical energy from the tower over millions of years, forming top-quality crystals. There are even perfect grade 6-sided diamond crystals. For the mermaid sisters who love gems, this lake is truly irresistible temptation. If it wasn't for the significant importance of the selection by the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, they might have already jumped into this lake to swim and enjoy the pure magical water. So many little coins. How many things can we buy with this? Before entering the tall tower, Saramanda looked at the lake filled with sparkling gems, and her eyes sparkled with excitement. It's not just her who had such thoughts, but most people, especially the human merchants' daughters. Many of them blushed and even took out mysterious notebooks to calculate the value of this huge fortune according to their family's customs. The red gemstones with the power of fire, estimated to be over 1,000 pieces. The blue gemstones with the power of ice, estimated to be the same, over 1,000 pieces. The aqua gemstones with the power of air, over 1,000 and counting. The yellow gemstones with the power of earth, over 1,000 and counting. The white gemstones with the power of holy, a few hundred. The black gemstones with the power of darkness, a few hundred. Even the rarest and most perfect diamonds can be found here in quantities close to 100. This is a perfect gemstone known as the Stone of the Wise in the legendary Divine Era of Magic, which can be used to perform the resurrection spell. This is like robbing a dragon's treasure trove. There's no way you can find so many gemstones like this. After the magic tide weakened, even the smallest ruby with a fire attribute here could be sold for a sky-high price. Alchemists have an infinite demand for magic gemstones, and any gemstone here is priceless. Especially those perfect diamonds with 6 sides, they were the highest grade gemstones even in the Divine Era. They disappeared completely at the end of the Divine Era. If there are any remaining, they can only be found in the terrifying underground cemetery. If news of the wealth here gets out, it would drive alchemists crazy. The allure of gemstones knows no borders or races. especially these high-quality gemstones infused with magic. Even in the Divine Era, they were top-notch goods and could be directly traded with the Dragon Clan. Now, these rare gemstones from the Divine Era lie quietly at the bottom of the clear lake, dazzling countless girls. The girls from merchant families calculated the value of these gemstones and were almost going crazy, their breaths becoming rapid. Selling these gemstones would be more than enough to buy half of the Empire's land. The hexagonal diamonds were in a league beyond monetary value, even enough to invite hero-ranked warriors from other continents to join the war. How could the kingdom with such a terrifying treasury suffer such a devastating defeat in the war? This is unrealistic. If they hired armies with these gemstones, the Empire would not have been so one-sided in the war. The value of these gemstones is so high that even the free hero-ranked strong individuals within the Empire would be tempted to get involved. I see now, this is the source. Roland looked at the hexagonal diamonds and the highest quality magic treasure stones with a complicated expression. The core of the Empire's third-generation magic armor hides a big secret, and one of the necessary materials for it is a high-quality gemstone. As for how high it needs to be, it must be at least of advanced quality. Every third-generation magic armor needs a high-quality gemstone to construct its core, and the higher the quality, the better. As for the special machine named Titled Machine, the requirements are very strict, and it seems that what is needed is. Looking at that shiny six-sided diamond, Roland felt like he couldn't breathe. The wealth here, combined with the Empire's best efforts, can create more than 10 of the Empire's top magic army legions and nearly 100 Titled Machine. No wonder the Empire is willing to do anything to conquer the kingdom, even exterminating the royal family with the same bloodline. In the history of the Empire, someone must have entered this sky garden, maybe even the first emperor of the Empire, and recorded information about the lake at the bottom. During the Divine Era, this place was a treasure that even dragons coveted. In modern times, the many perfect gems lying dormant here still have the power to ignite a world war. The war between the kingdom and the Empire this time may have been caused by these gems. The Empire's path of science requires the legacy of the Divine Era found here. Keeping these gems in this lake is such a waste of precious treasures. Even if the Empire launches a war, they still want to seize this treasure trove of the Divine Era. Why didn't the royal family of Seer Kingdom collect these gems that could be used as a trump card when they scattered them to the bottom of the lake? The Divine Era treasure inherited by the kingdom was unexpectedly horrifying. Chapter 1065 Clap, Clap, Clap. Ain gently clapped his hands to divert the attention of the reserve girls from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order away from this gem lake. She also knew how astonishing these precious gems were for intelligent beings. When she saw these gems for the first time, she also wanted to jump in and retrieve them. Unfortunately, even as the Tower Master, she couldn't touch these gems. These gems were accumulated by the fairy butterflies over thousands of years. They used their own talents to absorb magical energy from the air and plant magic to create these treasures. While collecting nectar, the fairy butterflies absorbed magical energy from the air. Using a time that humans could never pass, they created these refined, flawless gemstones. If you look closely, you can faintly see the unique flower patterns in the gems, which are traces left by the fairies. Fairy gems, throughout history, the Tower Masters have described these rare treasures with these words. It is only within this isolated Divine Era tower, and under the careful nurturing of these fairy butterflies with almost infinite life, that these nearly extinct gems from the outside world can be born. Truly a marvel. The ownership of these gems doesn't belong to the kingdom, but rather to these fairy butterflies. It must be said that the mysterious powers possessed by fantasy creatures in the Divine Era are beyond ordinary imagination. These gems are also the power source that supports the operation of the Divine Era Tower, so even after one by one the other Divine Era ruins collapse, this Divine Era Tower can still stand tall on this land, appearing as though it can continue to exist for thousands, even millions of years. Oh. Asterisk caret _ caret asterisk, hey. Lane. The fairy butterflies were originally quietly collecting nectar, occasionally flying from the sky into the water to deliver the honeydew into the gems. When they discovered that there were so many outsiders entering the fairy garden for the first time, they flew over curiously. Their figures were dreamlike, with butterfly wings and delicate bodies like humans that had been shrunk. However, they didn't possess civilization. They were fantasy creatures born from pure magic. When the magic tide appeared, these fairy butterflies would dance gracefully between the heavens and the earth, chasing the flow of magic underground and migrating in the sky. That era was the happiest time for all the wise beings in this world. Even without doing anything, all kinds of fruits could grow on the land. Even the poorest humans didn't have to worry about going hungry. The various techniques and magical creations invented by the wizards changed the entire world. Most humans lived in abundance and achieved splendid artistic accomplishments and had the most number of heroes. The humans of that era conquered the land, made a peace treaty with the dragons ruling the oceans, and were now advancing towards the forbidden zone in the sky. The wizards who pursued the truths of the world even used the principles of the magic tide to create floating wizard towers. They ambitiously wanted to break through the final forbidden zone in the sky, the atmosphere, and move towards the endless starry sky. Unfortunately, they failed. It's okay, failure is the mother of success. As long as you repeat similar experiments more times, you will find a way to succeed. As long as there is the limitless support of magic tide, there is nothing that wizards cannot do. They can even create a magical network that allows even the weakest wizard to easily defeat a team of elite knights. No one ever expected that magic tide would weaken one day. It was like a fish that was used to living in water suddenly being thrown onto land. Many famous wizards from the Divine era even committed suicide because they couldn't absorb enough magic. Only those wizards who experienced the most prosperous period of magic tide can understand the pain of losing magic. After the weakening of magic tide, the world was like doomsday for them. Similarly, for fantasy creatures like the fairy butterfly who can only live in a world filled with magic tide, a weakened magic tide world is truly a world of death. Without a flourishing magical environment, the fairy butterfly, as a fantasy creature, could only face death by suffocation. Driven by the instinct for survival, the fairy butterflies from all over the world sought the last traces of magic tide and hid in closed environments where magic still remained. Some of them settled in terrifying underground cemeteries, which became the desperate refuge for the high-ranking wizards from the Divine era who turned themselves into undead monsters. They could never see daylight again. The rulers of these underground cemeteries are no longer human. In order to endure the weakening of magic tide, they transformed themselves into undead creatures and completely sealed their tombs to prevent the little remaining magic from leaking out. All outsiders who enter the tomb will be killed without mercy. All enemies who attempt to open the underground cemetery will be killed without mercy. They struggled to survive, trying to pass through this terrifying period of magic tide decline, waiting for the next high tide of magic to come as immortals. The underground cemetery, built during the Divine era, is the final stronghold of these undead kings. The fairy butterflies who fled to the underground cemetery were tainted by darkness, gradually transforming into a different dangerous species, the ghost butterflies that feed on human souls. However, the majority of fairy butterflies found this world's last paradise, the Sky Garden, where they can continue to live happily. Everything here seems to have predicted the arrival of the period of magic tide decline from the very beginning, specifically prepared for these fairy butterflies. There are rare plants everywhere that produce delicious and fragrant nectar, which is the favorite food of fairy butterflies. The concentration of magic in the air is impeccable, even during the Divine era, meeting all the requirements of the fairy butterflies. This garden belongs to the fairies. It is a place for them to live. As the owners of this place, the fairy butterflies use their talents to absorb magic from the air and nectar from various flowers to create beautiful gemstones. These gemstones, in turn, contribute to the self-sustaining system of this tower, keeping it standing strong against the passage of time. Having studied the tower's existence, Princess Aine greatly admired the designer who built it. It must have been a wise dragon who created this tower to hatch their eggs, ensuring its functionality regardless of how much time passes. Chapter 1066. The fairy butterflies flutter and curiously move among the aspiring members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, occasionally landing on their horns, adding a quiet beauty like natural jewelry. Despite having intelligence and civilization similar to humans, these fairy butterflies also have their own unique habits. They have their own preferences and personalities, though humans might not understand what led to their existence. This is a race filled with many mysteries. All physical and magical attacks known in the Divine Era have no effect on them because their bodies are made entirely of pure magic. They are in a state of immortality more thorough than the Troll clan. Only the weakening of the magic tide can make fairy butterflies disappear. They simply disappear, they don't die. In fact, humans don't even know if creatures like fairy butterflies have the concept of death. Humans cannot discern individual characteristics of fairy butterflies from their appearance. All fairy butterflies look identical, and there is no such thing as a queen. In the Divine Era, when the mags occasionally encountered fairy butterflies, one research-oriented mage proposed a hypothesis that all fairy butterflies in the world are actually just one single butterfly. The fairy butterflies we see are just different facets of that single fairy butterfly. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain why, even after countless killings of fairy butterflies, another identical fairy butterfly immediately appears in the same spot. It's as if all physical and magical attacks from humans have no effect on fairy butterflies. Thankfully, the fairy butterfly species is completely harmless to both humans and animals. Aside from stealing nectar, they don't engage in any inappropriate behavior. Even the fallen ghost butterflies in the underground cemetery only absorb the souls of humans after their death. They don't kill people. Humans cannot kill fairy butterflies or interfere with their actions. They cannot even comprehend how fairy butterflies exist in the first place. Everything about this fantasy creature is a complete mystery to the people of this world. After about 15 minutes, the fairy butterflies seemed to agree that these foreign girls had the right to stay in the Divine Era Tower, and they flew back to their garden one by one. Phew, it seems like they all passed. Ain quietly sighed with relief. These fairy butterflies have a natural sensitivity to malice. If someone with ill intentions towards the Divine Era Tower enters, these fairy butterflies will start dancing together to show their displeasure. When the first emperor of the empire, the proud number 1 knight of the continent, was granted entry here, he was chased away by the dancing fairy butterflies, which meant that he was not qualified to become a resident here. The absence of the dance of expulsion means that the fairy butterflies have accepted the authenticity and effectiveness of Ain's second-level authorization, and the aspiring members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order can now start living in the Divine Era Tower from today. This also means that her hatching dragon egg, which is the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order plan, has obtained the consent of the native residents of this tall tower and can continue to be implemented. With this step taken, the next things became simpler. Your Majesty, can we live inside this lake? We won't take these gemstones, but is it okay to touch them a little bit? This lake is really amazing. Unlike humans who often hide and make excuses, most of the girls from different tribes don't like lying. It's also a common problem in the Leviathan faction. The mermaid girls sent by the clan to participate in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order selection, under Princess Heidi's leadership, all expressed a strong desire to live here. The mermaid clan is supposed to live in the water. If they can have a bed paved with gemstones, it would be the best home ever. Yes, as long as you pass the selection. Also, please don't disturb these butterflies. Ain gladly agreed to the mermaid girl's request. It seems like this lake was originally meant to be the territory for the merfolk. There is also a sizable garden in the Sky Garden, specifically designed for the Lamia clan to enjoy a tropical rainforest climate and music. It even has a special system that can make it rain automatically. In the past, Ain couldn't understand why the Sky Garden had such a complex ecosystem. Even mags with magic towers during the Divine Era didn't need to create so many separate gardens. Now, she understood that everything here had a reason. The interconnected yet independent gardens were like small kingdoms, specially prepared for certain young girls of a particular race. However, in order to obtain the right to live here, they still had to go through the final trial. Okay, no matter what the test is, we will pass. Wow, I can't believe the inside of the Divine Era Tower is like this. It's like a heavenly world. Living here is like a dream come true. I must pass the assessment and become a knight of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. After Ain made the promise, almost every girl who came to participate in the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order lit up with excitement. The magical environment that rivals the divine era. Beautiful lakes everywhere adorned with gemstones. A beautiful garden that can only be seen in dreams in a large amount. The whole tower, just like a dream, being able to live here and become a member of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, it feels like a dream come true. For a princess like Roland, there are hidden secrets of the divine era here, and she wants to find them no matter what. 4 noble and wealthy girls, everything here represents wisdom and wealth. 4 common girls, this place is a dream and hope. The girls from a different race simply love it here. The magical environment of the divine era makes their bloodline power in their bodies emit a comfortable sound, full of vitality. Sia, open the door. Seeing each excited girl, Ain's guilt and sense of guilt slightly eased. At least, she gave them a chance, a dream, right? Even if this dream is built on a lie that deceived the world. Boom. The ancient gate slowly opened, revealing a wide pathway leading underground. If we occasionally have visitors on the upper floors of the tower, the lower part of the tower is off-limits to everyone except for the royal bloodline of the kingdom. Hidden here is the biggest secret of the entire Divine Era Tower, a secret that even the current Tower Master Ain only recently discovered. Chapter 1067. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order's aspiring members, totaling around 3,000, were divided into different groups, curiously observing the slowly opening gate. In the past, Ain always found it strange why there would be such a large pool underground in the tower, with a diameter exceeding 1 kilometer. Was it for the dragons to bathe? Now she realizes that her speculation wasn't just an idle thought. This enormous pool, with a diameter exceeding 1 kilometer, is indeed prepared for the dragons, or rather, for the hatching of dragon eggs. In fact, the entire tower may have been constructed as a special building for this purpose. Let's do a simple calculation. A bathhouse that is about 100 square meters can accommodate around 50 people. But this is a super large bathhouse built for dragons. It can easily fit over 10,000 people at once. Even if the entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, which is not even 1/3 of 10,000 people, enters this huge bathhouse together, it will be easy. Even large units like Lamia and Trolls would fit just fine. It seems like the designer who built this super large bathhouse had considered the number of people from the beginning. Even if the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order continues to add members, there is no need to worry. Should we say that the designer thought everything through, or did they anticipate that after the magic tide weakened, the method of hatching dragon eggs must rely on quantity to surpass quality? With the constant thoughts of the book, the correct method of hatching dragon eggs in his mind, Ain led the unaware Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order preparatory team into the ancient passage. Unlike the passage to the tower, the murals and history of the kingdom have nothing to do with this passage. On it, there are countless complex and incomprehensible formulas that have puzzled the generation after generation of Divine Era bloodline warlocks who came here to bathe. The data, symbols, and the entire civilization of Sia's world shown by these formulas don't fit at all, as they don't look like something from this world. More than one Divine Era bloodline warlock who resides in this tower believes that these writings come from the stars. The symbols and formulas on them are the crystallization of wisdom beyond this world. Sadly, until now, no one has been able to decipher the meaning represented by these formulas and writings. It's like a primary school student who only knows addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division trying to calculate the trajectory of stars. The difference is just too great. Walking through a long corridor, a tremendously large underground space appeared in front of all the aspiring members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. On the ceiling, unlike the artificial sun in the sky garden, there was a silver moon surrounded by countless stars, each one shining brightly, enhancing the brilliance of the silver moon. Below the silver moon was a huge water pool. With a diameter of over 1,000 meters, almost reaching 2,000 meters, this pool was so big that even dragons could freely frolic inside, making it truly like an artificial lake. In the center of the pool was a light cluster emitting a hazy glow, giving off an incredible feeling. Surrounding this tremendously large water pool were a series of palaces with various styles, most of them designed for human-sized beings, but there were also large buildings clearly meant for different races. The scale of the entire palace complex was even larger than the inner gardens of the tower on the ground, enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people living and thriving here. Paths made of clean circular slabs connected the palaces to each other, each slab engraved with simple and beautiful patterns, showcasing their antique and aesthetic designs. Each of these rings connected to form a huge circular pattern, representing the pinnacle of Divine-era art, symbolizing the supreme authority of the Mags. The entire palace complex revolves around the enormous water pool, resembling a pattern of stars and moons in the sky, with stars surrounding and protecting the pool. The closest to the water pool are 12 palaces, each adorned with different constellations. These are constellations that the people of this world cannot observe directly, and can only have a general idea of their names. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. These constellations are named the zodiac constellation group, but Ain doesn't understand the significance of this special structure. Currently, only the 6th palace, Virgo, among the 12 zodiac palaces is open, and it is the only one that leads to the water pool. Along the side of the palace complex, there are numerous square-topped stone column magic lamps, called Divine-era artworks that can emit light simply by absorbing the free magic in the air. These magic lamps no longer light up in modern times, but they still work normally in the underground palace group of this tall tower, just like during the Divine era. This is where you will live from now on. After being selected by the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, you can choose a suitable palace to live in according to your own race. Other palaces can be freely used, except for the closed 11 palaces. With great excitement, Ain finally arrived at the huge pool. Today, the pool, which had been silent for who knows how many years, was noticeably different. Ain saw for the first time that the originally clear and transparent water in the pool was filled with many milky white particles of light. A large number of fairy butterflies, who usually only reside in the fairy garden, were flying around the unidentified object in the center of the pool, humming a joyful tune. That was a song that human ears could not understand, belonging to the fairies. Lololane. Hee hee hee. Woo woo woo. Oh oh oh. Even though they couldn't communicate with words and had different forms of existence, the girls from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order could tell that these fairy butterflies were very happy. Those white light particles were the magical powder that the fairy butterflies scattered from their wings, a pure crystallization of magic. Working hard every day to collect honey and pollinate, the fairy butterflies instinctively absorbed the magic into their wings, ultimately brewing the sweet fairy nectar used to create perfect gemstones. Now, they brought out all of their cherished fairy nectar and merged it with the water in the pool. The magical powder absorbed by the fairy butterflies, known as fairy dust, was a rare material that could be absorbed by any race. If they were to take out this pool water now, they could sell it directly to those alchemist warlocks at a thrilling price. The light cluster in the center of the pool became even more mysterious and filled with unknown allure under the cover of abundant fairy dust. Now that they had arrived here, Ain didn't need to hide anything anymore. Take it off. Chapter 1068 Take off. Take off what? Your Majesty, is the selection about to begin? The water here is very shallow, do we have to fight in this? Nobody considered this pool, which had a diameter of over 1,000 kilometers, as a bathing pool. It was simply too unreasonable. Nobody took Ain's take off as an order to remove clothes. How could that be possible? All right, let's fight. Unable to hear clearly what Ain said, Salamander couldn't wait any longer and jumped out, grabbing his troll-specific heavy axe and provoking everyone. There's not a single decent opponent, all of you come at once, don't waste time. Princess Heidi, the mermaid, dipped her snow-white long legs into the pool to check its temperature. She unexpectedly found that it was the perfect temperature for her skin and that the water contained a significant amount of pure magic. No matter how mediocre their talent, even the most average mermaid could possibly advance here. The environment here was truly unique and favorable. Salamander, this selection is not about fighting. Ain slowly approached the biggest troublemaker in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order's selection process. She gently extended her finger, pointing it towards him. As the highest authority holder of this tower, if she were outside the tower, she might not have any means to deal with this troll. After all, her reputation as the nuclear blast queen was purely a result of misunderstandings by others. However, as long as she entered this tower, she would have an absolute advantage. Facing Saramanda, who had accepted her second-level authority, she could easily control him with her highest authority. What? Saramanda realized that his body was completely pressed down by Ain's finger. The sensation felt as if that slender finger weighed more than a mountain. It wasn't simply a difference in strength, but rather an indescribable restraint. Her proud power could not even be exerted by 1% in this place. This was the true strength of the nuclear blast queen. With just one finger, she could make Earthchild unable to stand up. She knew that there was a gap in strength, but she couldn't comprehend the extent of this overwhelming difference. She hadn't even used her forbidden spell, which was truly strange. "Take it off," Ain said, whether as a warning to others or as an example to set, and lightly touched Saramanda's unruly forehead with his fingertips. Whoosh! With a sound, the sturdy fire lizard skin armor that Saramanda brought from the troll clan fell off her body, revealing the impressive chest that made the entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order feel inferior. It was just so big. With a height of 3 meters and a perfect figure, it boasted a pair of peaks that no human woman could compare to huge fruits that couldn't even be grasped with both hands. In addition, there were legs that truly lived up to their name despite being a troll. They were not at all bulky, but rather slender and approaching the golden ratio. What was supposed to be protruding was protruding, and what was supposed to be concave was concave. Even the previously dense fur was now smooth and clearly visible. Ahum, Ain thought, this troll's figure is quite impressive, much to his surprise. Especially the chest, once unleashed from the tight fire lizard skin armor, it was much larger than imagined. "Hey, does this even matter?" Saramanda said, completely unconcerned about being stripped naked. Because trolls live in volcanic areas, they mostly wear simple animal fur and can last a year. Fire lizard skin with fire resistance is preferred. The leather armor Saramanda is wearing is made by the fire lizard king that she killed. It is light and durable. I said, take it off. Then, go there for the assessment. Ain pointed to the white light cluster in the center of the bath. There is the hope of the world, the only reason for the existence of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Assessment. How is it done? Isn't it just fighting? Saramanda was confused. How could the assessment of a Knight Order not test combat skills? If we only needed strength, I wouldn't have gathered so many people. Ain looked at the girls who still didn't know the truth, and it was time to tell them the way of the assessment. This time, the assessment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is about testing the affinity with sacred objects. There lies a great sacred object that has been sleeping since the Divine era. This is a lie. This sacred tall tower has always protected this holy object, waiting for its Su to wake up. Not long ago, there were signs of the holy object awakening Su. As the tower master of the tall tower, it is my responsibility to help restore Su. This is also a lie. The establishment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was because of the calling of the holy object. Only pure, beautiful young girls can resonate with the holy object. This is the truth, but not the complete truth. Therefore, only a girl who can prove her pure heart can pass the assessment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order and become a member of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Weaving lies and truth together, it's equally difficult to deceive one person and deceive the whole world when the other person lacks information. This is the Queen of Nuclear Explosions, carrying the centuries lie chosen by Ain, the Silver Dragon's promise. No one doubted her. Even Princess Roland from the opposing empire believed it to be the truth. Because, the sacred object of the divine era is right in front of them, within reach. The immense life force radiating from that sacred object made everyone's heart race and face blush. No wonder, it's all because of a girl who is not yet 18. The depth of the kingdom's heritage is truly unfathomable. Here, there are still remnants of the real divine artifact. The princess knights of the Empire stared intently at the milky white light cluster, eager to give it a try. Roland took a deep breath and made up her mind. She absolutely wanted to pass the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order and gain the power of this special object. If it wasn't for the call of the sacred item, Ain probably wouldn't have opened this place. She also couldn't control the power of this sacred object. Maybe her power from the ancient sacred item is what gives her the ability to use the nuclear explosion forbidden spell. Well, in a way, this could be considered a lucky coincidence. How are they going to test us? After learning about the selection process of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, Saramanda confidently held her giant axe and eagerly stared at the huge cluster of white light. You have to walk up to it and touch it with your bare skin. You can't wear any clothes or use any weapons or equipment. Hold on to it and don't let go. The longer you can hold on, the higher your affinity will be. Chapter 1069. Those who can hold on for more than 10 seconds meet the qualification standards of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. If you can hold on for more than 30 seconds, you meet the excellent standard of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. If you can hold on for more than 1 minute, you can be directly appointed as a team leader of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. If you can hold on for more than 5 minutes, you can be appointed as a captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. If you can hold on for more than 10 minutes, you can freely choose the members you need and form your own exclusive team. According to the standard time recorded in How to Hatch Dragon Eggs, Ain announced the entry criteria for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. The levels of 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 3 minutes don't actually exist in the correct method for hatching dragon eggs. The lowest standard recorded there is actually more than 10 minutes. The longest time can even exceed 1 hour, based on the bloodline standards of the divine era. It often only requires a pure and innocent girl of less than 100 to achieve the standard of continuously hatching eggs for 24 hours. Unfortunately, this is not the divine era, and there are no more pure divine era bloodlines to be found throughout the continent. The only option is to compensate for the lack of quality with a larger number of people. This is so easy, anyone can pass the assessment. Saramanda disdainfully put down her giant axe and confidently walked towards the white light cluster. Here, right here, that sound. The closer Saramanda got to the white light cluster, the more a certain sound surged in her heart, a sound that had been calling her since her battle with Morris began. An unfamiliar but irresistible heartbeat. Why did it seem like none of these people heard it, even though it was so loud, so charming, this heartbeat? Closer, even closer. 10 minutes, it was just too simple. She would hold on to it tightly, not letting go for 1 or 2 hours, making others envy and resent. From the moment Saramanda saw this white light cluster, she had a strong possessiveness. This was hers, what she wanted. No one else wanted to give up the treasure that she alone possessed. Why would I give something that she likes to someone else? Bump, bump, bump. Her heart started pounding even harder. It was a true resonance, a strong emotion Saramanda had never experienced before. Oh no, this is really captivating, I must get my hands on it. It made her blush and her heart race even more than her previous favorite big stick and later her favorite big axe. What kind of feeling is this? Even though it's the first time seeing it and she still doesn't know what it looks like, she can't help but fall in love with it. It's like love at first sight. Hey! With the girl's wild intuition, Saramanda hugged the big, soft, and slippery unidentified object tightly. Since it was really big, even bigger than her, she couldn't completely wrap her hands around it. But the feeling was so amazing, almost like melting. This illusion lasted only about a second. In the next second, Saramanda, who was in close contact with the mysterious object, couldn't help but let out a cute moan. It was very loud, making many young girls shyly lower their heads, unable to look directly, but couldn't help but sneak a peek. Saramanda's mind went blank and she felt like she was floating, as if she was flying. The skin attached to the white light cluster turned blush after blush, as if invisible hands were touching and kneading her smooth body. She couldn't resist, couldn't move, trapped in place. Not even when fighting the Fire Lizard King had she ever been so helpless. The unfamiliar sensation engulfed her whole body, and she could only bite down hard, trying to restrain herself from making strange sounds. Unfortunately, that was impossible. The most sensitive part of the body was being continuously invaded. The smooth and tight sensation made it impossible to resist and caused the whole body to tremble. A gulp. Saramanda felt like a small boat thrown into a fierce storm, her body and heart being sucked into a huge whirlpool, without knowing what to do. The dragon's spiritual energy engulfing her whole body was not only taking, but also had a gentle and melodious side, entwined with passion, intoxicating and alluring. Soon, Saramanda's breath became more and more rapid, her limbs weaker and weaker, blindly and helplessly swinging. Her long legs unconsciously closed together, tightly holding the smooth surface of the silver dragon egg. The dragon's spiritual energy entering her body swelled and became wetter, followed by more rubbing, trembling, feeling wave after wave of pleasure, comfort, and expansion. Every tremble, every rub, her whole body felt weak and numb. That feeling of being tight, swollen, completely filled, and the white fairy dust sprinkled around, forget about 1 or 2 hours, not even 10 minutes could be endured. Saramanda slipped down from the dragon egg wrapped in a white halo, like a limp octopus. Gah-ha! Saramanda, who couldn't even withstand 10 minutes, showed a look of immense humiliation. She stretched out her hand with all her might, still looking like she wanted to continue the fight. That's enough. If you keep going, your body will break. Ain reached out and helped the completely limp Saramanda. After getting close to the dragon egg, they both knew very well what the outcome would be. It was surprising that Saramanda could endure for almost 10 minutes, showing unexpected excellence. In this intimate ritual with the dragon egg, physical strength mattered little. It was all about the affinity with the dragon's spiritual energy overflowing from the egg. Being able to last close to 10 minutes on the first attempt was almost as good as Saramanda, who had a pure bloodline as a divine-era warlock. It meant her body had great compatibility with the dragon egg. What an enviable body! Perhaps this wasn't even her limit. Seeing Saramanda nearly faint, Ain felt a slight pain in his chest. This was a secret and privilege that belonged only to herself, and Adley reluctantly shared with others. Why didn't she have more sisters? If she could have exclusive possession of Lord Silver Dragon like this, it would have been so wonderful. Don't be fooled by the fact that Saramanda only lasted for less than 10 minutes. She relied solely on her physical constitution to withstand it, without any techniques or methods. Ain believed that if he were to confront the endless dragon roar waves with willpower like Saramanda did, he would probably surrender completely within 5 minutes. She was able to endure for 15 minutes because she used the warlock's method to respond to the invading dragon's spiritual energy in her body, fully accepting its presence and allowing it to do as it pleased with her body. If you see this ritual as a way to communicate with the magnificent silver dragon, her choice was to voluntarily offer her body and let the great silver dragon enjoy it to the fullest. Adley was initially clueless, but her body was perfectly compatible with the dragon's spiritual energy, so she was able to persist for 30 minutes. Saramanda, on the other hand, was completely resistant, struggling and resisting, even though she was no match. She persisted until her consciousness was almost gone, her mind blank. Among the special rituals experienced by only 3 people, her aftermath was the most severe. Not even the cheating nature of the troll clan could help her. She has now completely fallen into a coma. In comparison, Ain doesn't have the natural talents that Adley has, nor the stubbornness and determination that Saramanda possesses. So she is actually the weakest among the 3. This truth is truly speechless. It was clearly her who first had an intimate encounter with the great Lord Silver Dragon. Adley being like this is one thing, but why does even this rough troll seem to have more talent in this regard than her? Is she not working hard enough? How can she improve in this aspect of talent? Puff, puff. After playing happily to her heart's content, Saramanda heard a mysterious voice coming from the Silver Dragon egg. I understand, Lord Silver Dragon. Offering assessment, continue. Chapter 1070. Hold on. Big Sister Saramanda, Big Sister, what's happening? Is the assessment really this difficult? Big Sister, wake up. The young girls of the troll clan hurriedly surrounded Saramanda, checking her breath and listening to her heartbeat from time to time. They, who knew nothing about affectionate things, thought that Saramander's cries were screams of pain, and then they thought she had been hit by a deadly attack and fainted. In a way, they are not wrong. Since she could remember, they had never seen Saramander's team being defeated, but this time they were truly scared, and it left a huge impact on their minds about the assessment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Princess, this assessment seems to be very difficult. Even that monster troll couldn't last for more than 10 minutes, so it's probably really hard to meet the minimum standard of 10 seconds for a normal person. What exactly is the origin of that sacred object? Let's go for the assessment a bit later. I have some concerns about it. The Princess Knight team, who were also pure-hearted in a way, started to consider Roland's suggestion of not acting hastily and observing more people's assessments before making a decision. No, I want to go second. Roland shook his head. She was lagging behind her best friend Ain and even the troll who seemed rude and rough in her eyes. She couldn't afford to be underestimated anymore. She wants people to know that the Princess of the Empire is not afraid of any challenge. She will never cry out in pain, even if she sees the most dangerous trials during the assessment. She will bite her lip and stay silent. Princess Roland of the Empire should have such dignity and determination. She wants to prove to everyone that she can endure much longer than the troll monster Saramander from earlier. Betting on the glory of Leviathan Empire's princess, she will definitely achieve a score of more than 10 minutes. Taking off her gloves, she reveals a pair of delicate and pretty little hands, and then removes her exclusive Princess Knight armor, showing her snow-white and flawless skin. Without any cosmetics, the skin of the Empire Princess is so soft and tender, it doesn't look like a body that has been through tough training. On her slim teenage body, there is not a single flaw, just like a perfect work of art from an artist's brush. This is thanks to the unique knight inheritance of the Leviathan Empire, created by the first knight who rebelled against the Seer Kingdom and established his own empire. The first knight with pure royal bloodline from Seer Kingdom completely abandoned the traditional knight path handed down from the divine era, and embarked on a brand new path of knighthood. Knights who follow this path can train to become elite knights, even if they are ordinary people. This is the foundation of the Imperial Army. And if they have royal bloodline, they also possess a special ability to heal any injuries to their bodies. Roland's body is the perfect embodiment of this knight inheritance. If it were the era filled with magic from the divine era, she could directly advance to become a hero-ranked knight with this perfect body. In fact, after coming to this divine era ruin and immersing herself in the pervasive magic in the air, Roland has already shown signs of a vague advancement. Unlike Morris, who needed to form a contract with an indescribable entity to break through, Roland's breakthrough came naturally, without any side effects. It was a nearly perfect breakthrough. Taking off all her armor, leaving only her undergarments, Roland became the second person to take the plunge in front of her sister and younger sister's gaze. When approaching the mysterious white light cluster, Roland even gave off a taste of sacrifice and redemption, like a martyr. Roland, have you really made up your mind? Even though Roland was the one who had put her best friend in this situation, and even though Ain was specially chosen by Roland, she couldn't help but ask her. Once the lies begin, they cannot be stopped. This secret should remain a forever secret. Yes, what Saramander can do, I can do too, and even better. Princess Roland, who has already seen the path to hero rank, fearlessly walked past her best friend with great courage. When they brushed shoulders, she seemed to hear her best friend Ain whispering softly, "I'm sorry, Roland." "Why apologize, Ain? Is it because touching that divine artifact is such a dangerous thing? Even so, neither you nor I have a way back. Those carefree and joyful moments under the afternoon sun are gone forever. Speaking of apologies, I actually want to apologize more. I'm sorry, Ain, I can't stop my father and my brother's ambitions. Even though I have the entire Princess Knight group, I am still very weak and can no longer stand on the same stage as you." After walking hundreds of meters, Roland took a deep breath and bravely touched the mysterious ancient creature with his own hands, knowing they could break. Parfu Roland heard the voice, filled with urgent anticipation, calling out to him like a summon. Then, she experienced the same tragedy as Saramander, instantly being attacked and overwhelmed by the powerful spiritual energy of the enormous dragon. Pear blossoms way down the crabapple tree. The wind blows, the rain falls, and flowers drift down like red petals. The first cry of a virgin is weak and delicate. The dragon's spiritual energy, which had already tasted victory on Salamander, struck again. At first, it moved slowly and shallowly, but before long, it gathered momentum and became as comfortable on Roland's delicate body as a fish in water. Suddenly, Roland was attacked over and over again, with each attack getting stronger and harder to defend against. Despite not having the experience or the strength of Salamander, Roland was completely defeated. No, this isn't an assessment. What is this? Why is my body completely unresponsive? My hands, feet, and body are being invaded and trampled by something unfamiliar. It's so terrifying. What is this? Why can't I fight back at all? It's not just pain, even if it hurts, I can bear it by gritting my teeth. But this feeling, sobs, my body is falling apart. No. Don't go there. There, it's not right, don't go inside. Awoo. Like a small and soft helpless kitten, cute and pitiful cries echoed continuously in the enormous bath. The Empire's Princess Roland unfortunately became the second girl to fall in front of the divine artifact after Salamander of the Troll clan. It took 6.5 minutes. Ain said, this can be understood because the dragon's spiritual energy of the Great Lord Silver Dragon completely ignores defense and deals real damage. Chapter 1071 Plop. Roland's snow-white delicate body softly fell into the water next to the white light cluster, creating ripples. Roland, sister, princess. Other princess knights and guards from the Empire's camp rushed over in a fluster, thinking something unfortunate had happened to her. I can't do it. Roland's face turned bright red. Being a girl who still didn't understand what it meant to be a man and a woman, these few minutes of intense pleasure were too overwhelming. That melting-like sensation, wave after wave of surging tide, completely overwhelmed this princess knight from the Leviathan Empire. That is it, right? I haven't tried it myself, but I've often heard that sound outside my dad's bedroom. When I went to my sister's house to get married, I also heard my sister make that kind of sound. Compared to the princesses of the Leviathan Empire, the girls from the Merchant Alliance understand what that sound represents better. After all, merchants' families don't have as strict discipline as nobles, so they tend to mature earlier than noble daughters. Many girls from merchant families who are not yet 18 have already gotten married and had children. If it weren't for the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order this time, they might have been married off in 1 or 2 years. After all, not every girl has the treatment of an Empire princess. Even getting married is related to the political situation of the Empire. Merchants prefer to marry into those fallen noble families to obtain tickets to the upper society in the Empire and Kingdom. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is a special knight group made up entirely of underage girls, something that didn't even exist in the Divine Era. Most of the girls were actually quite nervous before coming here, afraid of being eliminated from this selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. If it were based on martial skills, most of them are just ordinary girls who don't meet any recruitment requirements of a formal knight order. Compared to the knight squads of the Empire princesses, the Wilderness Bride group of the Northern United Kingdom, and the exotic teams from Leviathan, their combat power can be almost completely ignored. However, now they seem to understand to some extent that this selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order doesn't seem to be related to martial skills. The powerful troll, who can easily tear apart magic armor, and the Empire's top princess knight, both quickly fell in battle. The mysterious white light cluster, mentioned by Queen Ain as a divine artifact, seems to require something other than strength. So that's how it is. It seems like whatever is inside is not simple at all. The third to step forward was Meros, one of the ace members of the Leviathan faction, the only Leviathan priest who can counter the cheating race of trolls in close combat. Meros smoothly took off the clothes she wasn't used to wearing, revealing her ample and soft snow-white bosom. She swayed her long tail and swam towards the white light cluster, deep in thought. The Lamia clan, a large land combat unit, possesses snake tails that can easily entangle even mammoths to death. Every Lamia's tail is a powerful weapon they are born with. Facing the mysterious white light cluster, which stands over 3 meters tall, Meros, as a Lamia priestess, had a strange premonition. It seems that whatever is inside this light cluster is of vital importance to the entire Lamia clan. This impulsive feeling is a natural ability possessed by Meros, who has a magic eye since birth. This journey to the human kingdom is something she fully supports and personally leads the team to accomplish. Compared to the Troll clan, who occasionally interacted with humans, the Lamia clan, who lived in swamps and tropical rainforest areas, had even greater distance from humans because they had a half-human, half-snake form. The Troll clan, who are used to wearing clothes, are very satisfied with human weapons. Every year, brave merchants come to the volcano area where the trolls live to exchange weapons for rare minerals. There are no human forces brave enough to trade with the Lamia clan. Humans cannot accept the terrifying long tail of the Lamia clan. Humans can accept troll and dwarf humanoid races, but they have never considered Lamias as a branch of humans. Well, Lamias also think so. They have a closer blood relationship with dragon races than humans do. Comparing to humans, the blood ties between the Lamia clan and the Mermaid clan are even closer. They are both monster races that dragons trust most. Because of this, Meros's forehead with the magical eye feels warm when she gets close to the silver dragon egg protected by the white light cluster, as if it is reminding her of something. Is it okay to get entangled? Meros asked Queen Ain, who had clearly undergone this ritual before the assessment. It's possible, with you. Even Ain didn't expect the Lamia clan to participate in this Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order assessment. This race, which was once the most skilled commander in the Leviathan faction, can be said to be the natural enemy of humans. If trolls are the elite infantry known for their powerful charges, then Lamias are the versatile core unit in the Leviathan faction. Unlike trolls, who only know how to mindlessly charge forward and attack even their own kind, Lamias are very good at coordinating with other units. During the Divine Era War, Lamia priests were mostly commanders in the Leviathan faction, and only they could control those mindless monsters with their magic eye abilities, leading them in fearless charges against the human army. In a sense, Lamias, possessing intelligence equal to that of humans, are more fearsome opponents in war than trolls, who only know how to charge forward. If their population was not as scarce as trolls, the difficulty for humans to win the war for the continental crown would increase by another level. Alright then, I'll go. Unlike the dim-witted Salamander and the overly prim and proper Princess Roland, Meros, as a Lamia priestess, knew exactly what kind of sound they just made. It was not a sound of pain, but a mixture of peaks and trembling cries, as the girls walked up the stairs and discovered the first cries of a wider world. The characteristics of the Lamia clan often allowed her to hear similar sounds. After all, with their snake-like bodies, the Lamia women need to intertwine with their loved ones for up to 12 hours in order to conceive and bear children. From a very young age, the Lamia clan's girls would receive education in this area, learning how to conceive offspring with their future partners without harming them. Well, by the way, in this world, the Lamia clan doesn't have any males either. Chapter 1072. How do the Lamia clan, without any males, reproduce in this world? They don't have any fantasy species like the water god's world's sail jellyfish to help them. The answer is hunting. They search for powerful male monsters, force them into mating, and then collect their vital life essence to lay Lamia eggs. During this process, the prey suffers greatly, being continuously drained, even until the last drop of blood is taken by the Lamias, resulting in a truly horrifying fate. In order to obtain powerful life essence, Lamias often seek out monstrously large creatures as fathers and are skilled at outnumbering them. For humans, it was an unimaginable nightmare scene. Lamias with long snake-like tails would lock their prey's bodies with their tails and use a unique mating method of the Lamia clan, constantly squeezing the unfortunate captured object. In order to obtain the highest quality life essence, Lamias often use forbidden magic eye techniques to keep the captured male monsters in an extreme state, constantly reaching their peak while on the verge of death, and ultimately draining their lifeblood until death. In history, there have been heroes with the human Divine Era bloodline who were chosen by Lamias. The result, it turns out that humans are not as useful as fire lizard kings. Their life essence is completely insufficient to support mating for more than 12 hours at a time, so humans were lucky enough to be excluded from Lamia's hunting list. Recently, due to the excessively long period of magic tide decline, it has become increasingly difficult to find prey with abundant life essence. The reproduction rate of Lamias has also been declining year by year, much like the troll clan. As for the dragon race, whose reproductive rate is even more devastating, even mermaids, Lamias, and trolls who are their subordinates have no idea if they still exist in this world. The giant dragons, who possess the ocean crown, disappeared from the presence of any intelligent beings hundreds of years ago. The Leviathan faction lost its substantive leader and is now in a fragmented state, with each tribe standing as its own group. So, when Ain and Adley showed signs of dragons, the girls from the Leviathan faction were shocked. Could it be inside this? As the priestess of the Lamia clan, Meros knew a secret unknown to others. The Lamia clan actually has an extraordinary intimate relationship with the dragons. Until hundreds of years ago, the Lamia clan's ideal mating partner was a giant dragon. The Lamia priestesses inherited their magic eye from the dragon's power. With the disappearance of the giant dragons, the bloodline power of the Lamia clan started to weaken. This was true for almost all the races of the Leviathan faction. After humans started to decline, they still had a large population advantage and didn't have to worry about their descendants. But for the Leviathan faction, which already had a small population, this was a matter of life or death. As the most outstanding young priestess of the Lamia clan, Meros could clearly feel the strong and pure aura surrounding her at the moment. Just breathing the air here could make her whole body feel warm. This was a unique phenomenon called dragon's drunkenness in the Lamia clan. This was truly the best object. Even if Ain didn't say anything, Meros was certain that within this white light cluster was a giant dragon hidden. Moreover, this was a dragon that had never been recorded by the Lamia clan, a completely unfamiliar one. Over the course of a long time, members of the Lamia clan had intimate contact with the dragon race more than once, but never had they recorded such a strong and powerful aura. It was only natural that humans couldn't withstand this kind of aura. This was an essence of life that far surpassed human imagination, perhaps even the highest level of aura in this world. I'm not polite anymore. Meros gently licked her lips and quickly stretched her body, wrapping her 6-meter-long snake tail around the cluster of white lights. One circle, then another circle. Unlike salamanders rushing around or Roland struggling, Meros wholeheartedly and completely enjoyed this wonderful mating time. The enormous spiritual energy of the dragon swept over Meros's entire body, from the tip of her tail to the ends of her hair, making her emit a contented and joyful sound. That sound made the other Lamia girls, who had known how to mate skillfully since they were young, blush, and their tails couldn't help but wave around, causing small splashes. Ah ah, ooah ooah. Without any resistance, Meros completely surrendered her body to the dragon's invading spiritual energy, pressing her chest tightly against the silver dragon egg in the white light cluster, occasionally using her own smooth, white skin to rub this huge dragon egg. Hiss. When her emotions reached their peak, her forehead's magic eye naturally opened, and then all three eyes gazed affectionately at the dragon egg in her embrace, emitting a low hissing sound similar to that of a snake. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The snake's tail excitedly convulsed and twitched, then secreted the unique fragrance of the Lamia clan's females, fully indulging in the dragon's spiritual energy that was so familiar to the Lamia clan's body structure. The owner of this powerful energy, I wonder which great dragon it is, seems to be very accustomed to getting cozy with the Lamia clan. Meros, overwhelmed by the wandering path of the dragon's spiritual energy, bit her own hair and her ears turned bright red, feeling all worn out. Well, indeed, this isn't the first time. The Lamia clan's unique sensitive spots, slightly different intimate habits from humans, and the rhythm of entwining with their winding snake tails were all skillfully accompanied by the overflowing dragon's spiritual energy from the silver dragon egg. After all, this is the person who married an entire Lamia clan bride from a certain world. The rhythm of the dragon's spiritual energy echoed, making Lamias unable to resist and involuntarily emit lovely sounds, wave after wave. Ah, 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 ah. In the continuous and charming voice, Meros, who perfectly found the rhythm and method, surpassed everyone's expectations and directly broke through the 10-minute barrier, before finally softly detaching from the white light cluster. Compared to the breathless Salamander and Roland, Meros clearly seemed more like the victor. The long snake tail twisted into an S shape and then into an M shape, expressing Lamia clan's unique pleasure. This is amazing. Despite exhausted physical strength, Meros had a satisfied expression on her face, much more composed than the first time with Ain and Adley. This woman is a formidable rival. Ain, who witnessed everything, felt a sudden sense of crisis. Lamia, truly a deserving name for a monster. Chapter 1073. After Meros, leading by example, demonstrated how to undergo the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order assessment, the girls of the Lamia clan seemed to understand what she was doing. Even among the young human girls, some of them understood the trial of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, although they couldn't imagine the truth. I'll go. It's my turn. I want to love, go. With the enthusiastic Lamia girls volunteering, the atmosphere suddenly became lively for those unaware young girls who dreaded the trial. You all, remember to follow the etiquette, okay? Meros lazily waved her snake tail, not even wearing her clothes, and started to bathe in a corner of the giant pool. This feeling is amazing. It looks like it was prepared specifically for this kind of ceremony. Looking at her cheeks blushing in the snow and her comfortable snake tail soaking in warm water, Meros gained a deeper understanding of the truth behind the trial of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. This is not just a whim of Queen Ain, but a very ancient and sacred ritual. Including the establishment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, everything felt like it was meant to be. Just after a brief exchange, she could visibly feel her bloodline power increasing. Ah. The shy voice of the Lamia clan girl echoed again in the vast bath. It was the melody of love, a response to the immense and fiery dragon's spiritual energy. Without the resistance of Salamander, and without the embarrassing defeat of Princess Roland, the Lamia clan girls, just like Meros, indulged in the thrilling and passionate process. This is the correct way to assess the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, to willingly embrace the stimulation of the dragon's spiritual energy, and then experience a collective fusion of body and mind. Smack. The fallen Lamia girl was gently led by her kinsman to Meros's side, adopting the same tail-wagging posture as Meros, too weak even to exert strength in her fingers. The amount of time she persisted for was 5 minutes, slightly shorter than the Empire's Princess Roland. Considering her abilities, it was a remarkable number. How does it feel? Have you felt the immense, scorching? Meros whispered quietly to the girl from her own clan, as their earlobes began to blush with cuteness. It's so hot, so big. I never imagined it would be like that. The Lamia girl, completely exhausted and weak, quivered in the chest area, and her long snake tail spasmed in sections. The feeling of continuously reaching new peaks, as if each mountain was higher than the previous, was truly exhilarating and soul-stirring. From the tip of her tail to the tips of her fingers, every part of her body was swept away by the powerful waves. The tingling sensation made her feel like she was in heaven, a sight that was beyond beautiful. If it weren't for her physical exhaustion, she really wanted to continue. Lady Meros, truly the best Lamia priestess. She managed to endure for more than 10 minutes during the constantly intensifying peak time. Don't be surprised. We will probably have many more chances to experience such things in the future. This is not only a test for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, but also the purpose of its establishment, Meros whispered to her subordinates as another girl from their clan completed the ceremony and was brought over by their fellow members. So exciting. This girl is the youngest participant in the selection process for the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Despite enduring for over 4 minutes, her eyes were almost worn out. Compared to the older Lamia sisters, she had the weakest endurance in this matter. Even so, her 4-minute achievement proved the talent of the Lamia clan in this ritual similar to mating. Well done, you did great, good girl. Meros reached out to touch the vacant expression in the eyes of her clan member, who seemed to still be recovering from the impact of the endless waves. For the Lamia clan, this level of energy was more intoxicating than the finest wine, a symptom that only appeared when mating with the dragon species at the top of the world pyramid. Bathed in the strong energy of the dragon, no lamia could resist the phenomenon of dragon intoxication. Only the immense magical power and spiritual energy of the dragon could satisfy the energy needs of the lamia without limits. Who knows, maybe we all have a chance to have children. Meros said, looking content as she held a small tribal member against her chest, almost in a childlike state. Lamia's success in mating rituals depends on the energy levels of their partner. The more energy they receive, the stronger their vitality, and the higher the chances of getting pregnant and having stronger offspring. The dragon is the ideal mating target for the lamia. All Leviathan priests, to some extent, have a connection to the dragon bloodline, dating back to their ancestors. For Meros, discovering traces of the long-extinct dragons in this world was incredibly good news. Especially this unknown dragon, who possessed an enormous supply of energy that even the history of the Lamia clan had no records of. As a priestess of hero rank, she could only withstand the impact of this immense energy for 10 minutes. The normal mating time for Lamia is at least 6 hours. To make Lamias with strength comparable to trolls look like this, the unknown dragon's level of life is unheard of. Can I also have children? Qualified large monsters are becoming rare. All the available spots have already been taken by adult lamias. It is said that the waiting list for appointments is already 20 years long, and underage lamias don't even qualify for entry. In order to find suitable male partners, lamias teamed up with mermaids and even caught giant creatures from the deep sea. However, the number of qualified individuals kept decreasing, and the birth rate of their clan has reached a very low level. They were very worried about their ability to have children. For lamias who couldn't find a chance to become pregnant, this became their biggest regret in life. Influenced by what they heard and saw, even the young lamias were worried about their future. As long as the magic tide remained weak, this problem seemed unsolvable. In the Lamia clan, more than 80% of the members have never been pregnant. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.